My name is Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk, and man, oh man, MAGA's got a lot to talk about today. Here we go.
New and used tires. Again, my number is 954-977-9445. Thank you.
On the air since 1977, it's the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
Alrighty, it sure is. My name is Brian Craig. You are listening to Florida's longest running radio show, the Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 78 years on the radio. And man, oh man, has a lot happened since we last spoke. Welcome to the program. And I've got a lot to cover here. A lot to cover. And the most difficult part about this job every morning is to decide which story to lead with, because every day we're just overwhelmed by news stories. There's just so many things that are going on. You almost don't know what to lead with, because any one of these stories could be an entire show. But you have to pick. And Benny Johnson broke a major story yesterday on his program with a guest, and I'm going to share it with you in just a moment. And his guest was Congressman Tim Burchett. Is Tim Burchett from Tennessee? I can't remember. Where's Burchett from? I don't remember. I want to say Tennessee. I could be wrong about that, but he's a Republican. And he dropped something big yesterday that I'm going to share. And we're also going to hear from Christina Bobb, who's one of the president's attorneys, Christina Bobb. And she's also one of the regulars on Right Side Broadcasting, or at least she has been in the past. And she's very, very good. And she gave us some very, very key information that we've not heard before. But there's so much talk going on about many scandalous things involving the Biden White House. And typically, I wouldn't concern myself so much with the Biden White House, okay? However, what's going on today is so relevant and involves the lawfare. And it looks like they got him, that they have evidence on the White House that is going to lead to major arrest. And that's what Benny Johnson got out of Congressman Tim Burchett. And I'm going to play this. In the beginning here, Benny Johnson, and I don't know if he knew what was coming, but Burchett gave just a massive bit of news that is the kind of thing, when the Drudge Report was a trusted source of news, this would have been the headline on Drudge with the siren going off over it. So let me share this. This is Benny Johnson yesterday. You know, I always give credit to people. When I hear somebody and I hear information from somebody, I always give them credit. Unlike Scott Adams, who took my Jim Acosta thing I told you about yesterday, many other people have stolen stories of mine. There's a member of Congress who stole my thing on the baby formula I did with the baby formula shortage. There's so many people steal. You know how many people have taken credit for my Swift Boat veteran commercial that cost John Kerry the election against Bush in 2004? You know, so many people take credit for a lot of my work. So I always go out of my way to give credit to others. So I want to make sure Benny Johnson, who's very good, gets the credit for this. So let me just play this and we'll talk about it. This is Benny Johnson yesterday with Congressman Tim Burchett. Great stuff. Listen.
About child sex trafficking, I mean, that happens because of an open border, 25 million, many hundreds of thousands of children because of Joe Biden. Now we learn that Joe Biden had terminal illness the entire time he was in office. Maybe this was what all of the vacations, 577 days on vacation. Perhaps he was getting cancer treatment. We have had doctors on the program all yesterday saying all of Joe Biden's activities, the weakness, the falling, the fog, the brain fog, that's because of cancer medication. They were hiding this from the American people. What should happen to the people who hid this from us? Are Joe Biden's acts constitutional? What's your measure on Jill Biden?
Okay, now that's Benny Johnson, And everything he's talking about is very important and good. And that's what a lot of people were talking about. But then the congressman, when he's answering the question, drops something big to Benny Johnson. This is the thing that the Drudge Report would have the siren on in the old days.
They decided the courts, but I'm sure we'll write somebody a strong letter and move on about it. I don't think anybody really brought to justice over this. You've got staffers. I would look, Tennessee has had a history of this. We had a governor several governors ago. He's since passed away, but he sold pardons. You can look it up. His name was Ray Blanton. It made national news. And I mean, they wrote songs, Pardon Me, Ray. And it was a cash for clemency deal. And that's exactly what I think you're going to find out. You're going to find staffers that were able to take forms, get them, and run them through some sort of bogus legal system. And then they auto-pinned them. And there's probably people out on the street that shouldn't be, but somebody got rich off that. And
Wow.
and I think those people, I hate to say it, but you'll see something probably horrible happen to some of those people because it goes up the chain. This is a very dangerous town to play games in.
So you're saying that the Biden staffers took payouts and just ran the auto pen for certain pardons.
I have no direct proof of that, but I'm just talking about history. And if you got somebody making $100,000 a year and somebody offers you $250,000 in some safety deposit box. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
Look at all those. Look at Clinton's clemency. Bill Clinton, the people he gave clemency to. Some of those people were just awful, awful people, and nobody raised them.
Yeah, because with Clinton, they were in on it. So now we know where they're going. And if you were paying attention to President Trump yesterday, who had like 4 unscheduled press conferences. How many press conferences did Trump have yesterday? A lot. And in one of them, he talked about the auto pen, and it keeps going back to the auto pen. Now, this next piece of audio, the fidelity, it's not very good audio quality. I can't do anything about that, but I'm going to play it anyway, okay? This is Christina Bobb, and Christina Bobb is one of President Trump's attorneys. You've seen her many times on Right Side Broadcasting over the last couple of years. She's talking about the auto pen. Okay, she's talking about the auto pen here. I'll turn it up as loud as I can. I know the audio's not that good, but I'll repeat what she says. Here's Christina Bobb talking about the auto pen.
Now, knowing what you know, is this an open legal challenge now that this guy didn't even know when he was vice president, according to those her tapes?
I think it is. Auto pens usually require initial or signature approval from at least 5 people before you can actually approve the auto pen, for example.
Okay, so that audio, the reason the audio is so bad is someone just recorded that off of their television. I caught it on social media this morning, and I haven't had a chance to get the original audio yet. And you can hear in the background they have a fan on. So the audio is not that great. But what she said is, at minimum, the auto pen requires 5 separate signature authorizations. And I saw an auto pen yesterday. I did some looking online, and an auto pen it's not a pen like you would have in your pocket or something. It's a device, and it's pretty big. You know what it's about the size of? The auto pen, it's about this, although it's heavier and it's higher, it's kind of like the size of one of those things that you use to cut paper in offices or in schools. They have like that thing with the big, guillotine kind of thing on it. It's about that size, but it's big because it's got a motor, it's got a computer on it, and it signs. It's got a place for you to put in the document. And it's something that one person can get around, but to access it, there's a minimum of 5 signatures, at minimum. Okay? Now, I don't know if that's 5 plus the person that's using the auto pen, or 5 including. All right? But what you got here is a lot of records. This is great stuff, okay? This is great stuff. Because it's like Letitia James in New York, who, by the way, confessed to one of her crimes. I'm going to share her confession with you later. Can you believe that? She confessed to one of her crimes. A lot of these things that go on, Okay, a lot of these things that go on, you can't. They're doing criminal acts. There's no record, but some crimes there are records. That's With Letitia, we've got her signature on who knows how many documents for the mortgage fraud. With the Autopen, now we're finding out a minimum of 5 authorizations are needed with signatures to access it. Maybe another one with the person that uses it. So you've got the paperwork with that. You've got the pardons. But it's an easy investigation because they go and look at all the signatures who have authorized use and access the Autopen, and then they check out their financials. Find out any big deposits in their accounts or their brother's accounts or their mama's accounts. Find out who bought new cars and new houses beyond what they should be able to pay with their government salary. So now they're closing in. And I don't think it's an accident that President Trump keeps mentioning the Autopen. He mentions it like every day. He mentions the Autopen. So it looks like that's where they're going because there's so much of a paper trail connecting people to the Autopen. This is fantastic. You get them on what you can get them on. And I'll tell you something. Am I the only one that's noticed with all this scandal going on with the Biden White House, you're not hearing from Jean-Pierre on any interviews? I'm very surprised about that. You would have thought you got her. Now, who was involved in the Autopen? Who knows? They know. We don't know. But they know. And this is another thing about it. A lot of people are having issues like I am with Bongino and Kash Patel, who look like a couple of do-nothings. However, what we're hearing now is that White House staffers were selling pardons. They were selling pardons and then illegally accessing, with the 5 necessary signatures to access at minimum, the Autopen. Hardcore criminal activity. So who's in charge of those charges? Who would it be up to bring charges against the people selling pardons and illegally accessing the Autopen at the White House? Judge Janine, who is now the United States Attorney for the District of Columbia. So Judge Janine, it is in her jurisdiction as the United States Prosecutor for the District of Columbia. So we're in some good place right now, a lot of good places right now on a lot of fronts. And we should be very excited about this. And we could very well see some arrest with the selling of pardons and the unauthorized use of the Autopen. And once they start looking at the unauthorized access to the Autopen, when people get away with a crime, they do more and they get more bold. So who knows what else they were selling and then signing off on it with that Autopen. So we are in a great place, a paper trail, lots of evidence from President Trump mentioning the Autopen every day. That means that whoever's investigating this, whoever's looking into, I hope it's not Bongino and Kash Patel, but whoever's looking into it, they're zeroed in on something. And it's something where there's a big paper trail of evidence with the guilty party's signatures all over the evidence. All right, we're going to take our first break of this Wednesday. My name's Brian. Your calls certainly are welcome. Our number's toll-free, 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. We'll be right back.
Don't sit on the sidelines. Get in on the action. Call the Steve Kane Show live on air now. 888-GO-KANE-1. This is the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
Hey, it's Jogn on the radio, reminding you that your favorite old is back on the air right after 10 a.m. this morning, right here on the True Oldies channel.
Times are tough. You've worked hard for your money, and now more than ever, you need to protect your money and make it last. Now is the time to review your 401k, IRA, or money you want to protect and make safer. Go to JupiterJoe.com. Let's talk about retirement, or call 561-743-0999. Again, JupiterJoe.com.
This is Mark Laporta, son of Tom Laporta and proud second-generation owner of Laporta Roofing. As a military veteran who served in the Army after 9/11, I've brought the same dedication and discipline to our family business. At LaPorta Roofing, we've been serving our community for nearly 4 decades, and we're committed to continuing that legacy of excellence. Our team specializes in all types of roofing systems, from shingles to tile, slate, metal, and flat roofs. We're the go-to experts for single-family homes, HOA communities, and condo associations. What sets us apart is our unwavering commitment to customer satisfaction. I've personally implemented systems to ensure you receive the best in customer service and workmanship. Don't miss out on our limited time offer for a free roof inspection. Call us now at 954-604-4602 or visit us at laportaroofing.com. Trust the experts who have been protecting homes like yours for generations. Again, that number is 954-604-4602.
Do you suffer from neuropathy? I did, until I went to Lighthouse Medical Center in Pompano. Numbness, pain, burning, tingling in my hands and feet, muscle weakness, loss of balance, muscle twitching have all but disappeared. Say goodbye to your neuropathy symptoms. Call Lighthouse Medical Center for a free consultation. 754-222-6642. Tell them Steve Kane sent you.
This is Dr. Philip Appleton. I'm a chiropractic physician. I've seen thousands and thousands of patients in my career. I've been a chiropractic physician.
All right, stand by, guys. We'll be coming back after this.
6 days a week. If you have sciatica, you have bursitis, you have tendonitis, you're tired of taking the pills, the drugs, the injections, and you heard that you have to live with it. Well, there's a lot of times you don't have to live with it. I've had great success with helping people. My testimonials are marvelous with patients. They love the treatment. There's no injections. There's no medication. There's no surgery. There's none of that. It's strictly either the laser, the acupuncture I do, or shock.
If you're new, make sure you subscribe, guys. We'll come out of the break in just a moment.
Free consultation and be willing to look at you and help you.
Take advantage of that no-charge consultation with Dr. Appleton. Remember, appointments are not necessary and walk-ins are welcome even on Saturdays. 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonCairo.com.
Now, back to the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig. Listen in the Palm Beaches on 95.9 FM, the Treasure Coast on 106.9 FM, Harrison Boca on 95.3 FM, Fort Lauderdale on 96.9 FM, and anywhere in the world at TrueOldies.
Alrighty, we're back. I'm Brian, 20 minutes after the hour. It's Wednesday, May 21st. I just want to add on, I heard the message for LaPorta Roofing with Tom LaPorta's son in the message. I wanted to add a couple things. One, that LaPorta Roofing handles both the east and west coast of Florida and everywhere in between. They can handle the job of any size, no matter how small or large. If it's one office building, one single family home, or an HOA community or a condo or apartment community that has over 300 units, they can handle the job that size as well. But also because LaPorta Roofing are also general contractors, that allows Tom LaPorta to deal directly with your insurance company on the cost of the repair or the replacement of your roof, whether it's residential, commercial, or municipal. So give him a call. This number rings directly to Tom LaPorta's cell phone, 954-604-4602. 954-604-4602. And online, laportaroofing.com. Okay, so yesterday, President Trump, did a lot of press conferences, but here's one clip of President Trump that I wanted to share because it's a follow-up to the first segment. This is him talking about the Autopen.
Do you want to respond to President Biden being diagnosed with cancer? Are you going to call your predecessor?
I think it's very sad, actually. I'm surprised that it wasn't, the public wasn't notified a long time ago. Because to get to stage 9, that's a long time. I just had my physical. You saw.
By the way, before they get to this thing on the Autopen, that was that CNN idiot that asked, "Are you going to call your predecessor?" They're telling us Biden that he hasn't had his prostate test, a PSA test, in years. I have mine tested. Mine's been tested several times this year. Any lab test now of Boca and Coral Springs, you get a PSA test. It's very inexpensive. And anytime I get blood work, they test my PSA so I can follow my prostate. But they're very concerned about Biden. They don't take issue with him ignoring his prostate, which all men over 40 need to get their PSA tested all the time. I remember when Trump got COVID, CNN and MSNBC were blaming Trump for getting COVID, remember? They were talking about his weight, they were talking about distancing, but they're not blaming Biden for having advanced cancer for ignoring PSAs, which all guys over 40 get all the time.
You saw the results of that particular test. I think that test is standard to pretty much anybody getting a physical, good physical. We had the doctors at the White House and over at Walter Reed, which is a fantastic hospital. I did a very complete physical, including cognitive tests. I'm proud to announce I aced it. I got them all right. You proud of me? Yes. Your husband would be proud of me for getting them all right. It's a little risk. If I didn't get them all right, these people would be after me. It would be not a good situation. But I think, frankly, anybody running for president should take a cognitive test. They say it's unconstitutional, but I would say in that particular case, having a cognitive test wouldn't be so bad. But when you take tests, medical, as a male, that test is very standard. I don't know if it's given to everybody, but it's given just about.
Yeah, I don't know any man over 40 that's not getting PSA tests all the time. You know? It's like, everyone does. So the idea that he hasn't gotten one is BS.
And it takes a long time to get to that situation. Now, I think to get to a stage 9, I think that if you take a look, it's the same doctor that said that Joe was cognitively fine. There was nothing wrong with him. Well, he said, if it's the same doctor, he said there was nothing wrong there. That's being proven to be a sad situation. And the Autopen is becoming a very big deal. You know, the Autopen is becoming a big deal because it seems like that maybe was the president who ever operated the Autopen. But when they say that that was not good, they also, you have to look and you have to say that the test was not so good either. In other words, there are things going on that the public wasn't informed, and I think somebody's going to have to speak to his doctor, if it's the same, or even if it's two separate doctors.
But you see how he mentioned the Autopen, and he keeps mentioning the Autopen. The real president was whoever operated the Autopen. See, everything keeps going back to that, because they have the White House logs that they have access to. So Trump and his team, they already know everybody who accessed the Autopen. Okay, they know. And they're building up to it. It's all foreshadowing. All right. Our number, 1-888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Brian.
Yes, you're on the air. Yes.
James and Delray. How you doing?
All right, James and Delray.
I don't know whether to be sad or happy that he got to finish, because I couldn't believe that Kamala Harris would be president of the United States if they were Article 25 amendment. But this country is borderless, and we should all be mad about it. Who was pulling the strings? Was it Obama or was it Jill?
It was a lot of people. They had a whole committee. Yeah, it's scary. It's scary, is what it is. It's frightening. All right, appreciate the call. Yeah, I'm not upset because we got through it. I do want to see some of the lawfare people arrested, though. Don't you? Absolutely, we want to see the lawfare people arrested. But I'll tell you this. It's really amazing. See, the Autopen people, because there's so many people involved in accessing it, and they have the logs, that is what's going to do them in. And maybe the reason that they're releasing all this cancer stuff on Biden is because they're afraid of the Autopen. And it's not just Jill. Believe me, there's other people. Jill, there's other people around there that were selling the pardons too. And God knows what else. All right. I went long in that first segment, so I'm going to take our bottom of the hour break on time so we can be on schedule for the rest of the show. But I want to first tell you about the free doorbell camera offer from Slomin's. You can take advantage of this no matter where you're located and listening. Call Slomin's and ask them about the free doorbell camera offer with the installation of your Slomin Shield. And Slomin's, they're also going to give you a free customized home security system and professional installation when you use their low-cost central station monitoring. You get an LED touchscreen, a motion detector, 10 contacts, a lifetime warranty, and a backup battery. Plus, you'll get a free doorbell camera with the installation of your Slomin Shield. Give them a call, toll-free, 833-283-5050. 833-283-5050. We'll be right back.
Morning radio, great again. You're gonna really love it. It's the Steve Kane Show with Brian
reminding you that your favorite oldies are back on the air right after 10 a.m. this morning on the True Oldies channel.
Now, here's the True Oldies weather forecast.
This Wednesday morning and throughout the day, a high of 88 degrees and sunny. Tonight it'll be a low of 79 degrees and mostly clear. Thursday morning and throughout the day, a high of 86 degrees with a slight chance of thunderstorms, then showers likely. And then Thursday night, a low of 79 degrees, showers likely with a chance of thunderstorms.
And now, a True Oldies traffic check. Brought to you by the Palm Beach Kennel Club.
On Palm Beach Lakes Boulevard, watch for construction at Mangonia Drive. Roadwork Military Trail at 10th Avenue North. Spot something on the roads, call the traffic tip line. Pound 250, keyword West Palm Traffic. I'm Ron Hersey.
Traffic, a service of the Palm Beach Kennel Club. PBKC is your entertainment destination with poker, OTB, table games, exceptional eats, and exciting events. The poker room is open daily for cash games, tournaments, amazing promotions, and easy-to-play table games. Catch super OTB action every day except Tuesday from top racetracks around the country. PBKC, where winners play. Go to our website, pbkennelclub.com.
What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Brian. This is Donna from Jupiter. I'm calling to share my great experience with Jupiter Joe. My husband and I started listening to you a few years ago, and that's when we learned about Jupiter Joe Thomas. We're seniors with no pension and collect Social Security. All our investments were in stocks and IRAs until we heard about Jupiter Joe. Speaking of having your money work for you. So we got in touch with him, and he went above and beyond trying to locate all our diversifications. He answered all our questions clearly and returned every phone call. He recommended an annuity that enabled us to get a safe monthly income for life. So I just want to tell everyone, if you're in need of additional income, especially with the high cost of everything these days, please call Joe Thomas. It's no cost to you. He is so professional, knowledgeable, trustworthy, and you can put total confidence in him. My husband and I can't say enough good things about Jupiter Joe and his staff.
I want to thank you for your kind words for Jupiter Joe Thomas. If you want to call Joe Thomas, I'm going to give you his number. It's a no-charge consultation, which you can take advantage of no matter where you're located. 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999. And online at jupiterjoe.com.
Hey, my True Oldies listeners, John Tesh here with some intelligence for your retirement this time. When you're looking for a retirement advisor, you know trust and experience are two big qualities to look for. And as it turns out, my friend Jupiter Joe Thomas possesses both of these. Whether you're in retirement or looking to retire, I want you to give local expert Joe Thomas a call. Here's the number, 561-743-0999. Or, even simpler, you can go to jupiterjoe.com. Mention my name, John Tesh. You'll receive a free copy of Joe's book, Retirement Know-It-All. Great book. Call 561-743-0999. Or remember, go to jupiterjoe.com. That's jupiterjoe.com.
Now, back to the Steve Kane Show with Brian, celebrating 48 years of...
All right, calls on stand by. I was just listening to, John Tesh. Are you familiar with John Tesh, Mike? Do you know who he is, like, before, other than on the radio? No. John Tesh... we had a concert thing with him a couple years ago, and I did not get to. I wanted to meet him because I wanted to meet his wife. John Tesh, he used to be on Entertainment Tonight. Remember, he was the anchor of Entertainment Tonight, and then he got into being a musician. But his wife is an actress, Connie Selica, right? His wife is Connie Selica, and there's two things about Connie Selica. One of them I wouldn't talk to her about with John Tesh there. But she was, when I was a kid, she was like, John Tesh's wife was on one of my favorite TV shows, which you've never heard of, Mike, but if you're my age, The Greatest American Hero. Remember The Greatest American Hero with William Catt and Robert Culp? I just saw Robert Culp in a movie the other day. Robert Culp was in that show with Bill Cosby, But remember Greatest American Hero? Aliens gave this guy a suit and he became Superman. Remember that? And it was a comedy. And so these aliens gave Connie Selica's boyfriend, Robert Hinckley, this super suit, turned him into Superman, but he lost the instruction book. He didn't know how to use it. This was kind of a comedy. And then her husband, before John Tesh, this is the part I wouldn't mention to to her in front of, maybe not even to her, but her husband before John Tesh, who's also the father of her son, is a guy who was the star of like my favorite show when I was a kid, Buck Rogers in the 25th Century. Anybody remember that? Gil Gerard. So we got a lot of celebrity connections here on the station. All right, let's go to let's just go to the phones, then I'll bring up the other stuff. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, good morning.
Oh, hey, Richie.
You know, I got to tell you something. I mean, this is like, the more you unpeel the onion. I mean, I just heard this morning, what you played. The more you unpeel the onion, the worse this government looks. I mean, they make the mafia look like choir boys.
We've been a banana republic, is what we've been.
Yeah, we've been controlled by money. Foreign governments have controlled us. Our own companies, lobbyists, all sorts of stuff, drug companies. I mean, this, and I believe his whole cabinet is at fault. I think that, you know, how can you have a president that if you look at his track record over 40 years, very moderate, and all of a sudden he becomes the most left-wing president in the world, and he walks around like a zombie. I watched The Five last night. They showed clips of him, and then you sort of forget what it was like. He couldn't find his way up the stage. He looked into space. They created all sorts of lies for him. I mean, he was
well, and all of this is setting the stage for this new thing we're getting about the selling of pardons by staffers. That's pretty big. And now that we found out from Christina Bobb that it's a minimum of 5 signatures to access the Autopen, and I don't know if that includes the person that accesses it, they have to log it too. This is huge. So we've got signature documentation on all these things.
Yeah, you know how many? I believe that all these big names are guilty. I just don't think it's staffers. I think it's the whole cabinet.
Well, the reason you go, I agree with you. The reason you go after the lower level people is because they'll turn, because they're not rich and they don't have a famous last name, so they can go to prison. So they'll sing like canaries. That's why you go after the staffers. And I find it very interesting, through all this controversy, we haven't seen one interview or comment from Jean-Pierre anywhere. She's lying low. Why?
Yeah, she's the biggest one that got out there every day lying to the American people that he's this and he's that. He didn't know what he had for breakfast. I believe that he was going for cancer treatments. I think this whole thing has been the biggest scam on the American people. If anyone could tolerate this, I mean, this would be. They made Watergate. The press is probably their water boys.
Watergate was jaywalking compared to this.
Oh my God, this is so deep. There's so many lives involved. There's so many careers. There's so much money involved. This can actually bring down the United States government. I believe that.
Well, you know what this is going to end up being. This is going to be it's very interesting. We're going to have a scandal with the previous administration and the Democrat Party as we're going into the midterm elections. This may be, when's the last time that the incumbent maintained or gained control in the Congress during the midterms? It could happen, because this is going to be a big This is going to be a big Democrat scandal. Hey, Richie, appreciate the call. Moving into the midterms. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Montana, Mark.
Hey, Mark.
A couple of months ago, I started researching online about the different auto pens, and I came across a video where the auto pen had some type of electronic pen, and they assigned the debit card with the signature, and that video showed that you plugged in that card and the auto pen automatically works. So
yeah,
it's like you say, it's going to be very interesting with all those signatures.
Yeah. See, I've been waiting for this, because I know that they don't just, the auto pen at the White House is the most powerful writing instrument ever created, because you can move armies with it and navies and launch military strikes and everything. So I know that there had to be some process to access it. And now from Christina Bob, we're getting minimum 5 signatures to get to it, to access it.
And you know, with all these people that hate Trump, all you need is 5 people's signatures just to attack him.
Yeah, this is great. I'm excited. Hey, Mark, I appreciate the call. It is exciting. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. Yeah, good morning.
Hi, my name is Rich, calling from New York.
All right, New York, what's up?
Brian, I listen to your show every morning, but I've never called. Today I decided to call. I'm an ex-Democrat, actually. I voted Democrat all my life. But guess what? I got sick and tired of them. Because everything they accuse the Republican of, they do it. And it was like, when it comes to Trump, everything good he's doing, to them is bad.
Yep, that's right.
To me, Trump is the greatest president ever to my time. Okay, I voted Clinton, I voted Obama, but when it comes to President Trump, I was like, man, this guy is different than all the rest of them.
That's right. Yeah.
I was like, I'm all in.
I wonder how many people are. I wonder how many other ex-Democrats are in New York like you, right? Are you unusual, or are you or is your switch common in New York these days?
Friend, some of them just stay quiet. They don't say nothing because they're afraid. Me myself, I'm afraid to speak out. Okay, but now I hope for all the things that the Democrat politicians have done, I hope they pay for them.
Oh yeah, I know. Where your accent? This isn't a New York accent. Where's your accent from?
I'm from Haiti.
You're from Haiti. Well, we're finding out that this country, when it's run by Democrats, the government's as corrupt as the government of Haiti.
The Haiti government is worse than corrupt.
It's an anarchy.
Corrupt in Haiti.
The Clintons.
Correct.
Yeah, the Clintons.
That's correct. Right now, Haiti have a chance while President Trump is in power for somebody to do a coup or something to fix the system. Because if Democrats take over again, it's going to be the same thing going over and over. So the Democrat always the one running Haiti.
So did you vote for Trump in the last election?
Both times.
Both times. Okay, you voted for him. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Again.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Well, listen, I appreciate the call from New York. All right. That guy is in the #1 radio market in the United States of America, New York City, and he's listening to us. That's pretty cool, isn't it? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. It's Lenny from Coconut Creek.
Hey, Lenny, what's up?
Oh, my God. I was actually, I wake up every morning, to 6 o'clock, well, actually 5:30 to go to work, and I turn you on. Now, the interview with Bongino and Patel with Maria Bartiromo.
Yep.
What they discussed, which they said they couldn't speak about, I don't know what you've already opened up with. This reminds me of Nixon Watergate. To have, because I didn't realize, all the talk about the Autopen, but now to find out that 5 people have to, also sign on to this. This is big.
Big conspiracy, right? A big conspiracy, because there's so many people have to be involved every time it's accessed.
Yeah, but to have also all the pardons, and now to find out that actually the money that you think about, all these people are making $100,000, $200,000 a year are multi-millionaires, and this goes deep. And like you said, you're going to stop
start at the low level, because they're gonna speak out because they don't have that money, okay? And this is like the first time, of course, with this administration and the transparency of what is being brought out. This is big.
Well, they know who accessed the Autopen. So all, and however many, so those are the ones they start looking into their financials and see if, and they have to look into the financials of their entire extended family as well, because they might have had if they were selling pardons, they might have had the money dropped in, mom's account or something, or a cousin's. And when they need, so the search has been narrowed down a little bit.
Yeah, but now that this, with Biden's prostate cancer, that his tests were, a decade, 10 years?
Mm-hmm.
And how, this is just like, I truly believe this is what, it's speculative, but I think this is what, at least a portion of what Bongino and Patel were speaking of, which they had to be very careful, and they said, in a week or two, the truth is going to come out. And if you look now with the Autopen, this didn't happen just over 4 years. The fact that Biden was completely out of it for 4 years, now they'll go back, but they're going to deal with what's happened over the past 4 years and how the left has done.
That's right.
And to go against Trump, because everything they threw in it bounced off like rubber. And like I said, I got up this morning to go to the gym because I work.
Well, listen, Lenny, I gotta run for the break, but I'm glad you tune in every morning. Everyone should set their alarm clock to 5:55, so you got 5 minutes to wake up and shower and then tune me on. All right, appreciate the call, Lenny. Okay, we gotta run. We're gonna take our last break of the first hour. We'll be back.
The cold, hard truth. Delivered morning 6 to 9 right here on The Steve Kane Show.
Hi, this is Maureen Cohen from Nutrition World Palm Beach Gardens, your locally owned family-run health food store, featuring one of the largest selections of natural products in the area. From supplements to organic foods, body care to natural pet foods, we stock thousands of only the top quality brands that you've come to trust. One of those brands is Terry Naturally. Our friend Terry is hosting a radio show called Terry Talks Nutrition, Saturday mornings at 6 a.m. right here on the True Oldies channel. Terry will share the latest on health and nutrition as he helps us learn how to achieve good health with natural ingredients, and covers important topics like heart health, weight loss, balancing hormones, pain relief, inflammation, and so many others. So listen here to the True Oldies channel every Saturday at 6 a.m. for Terry Talks Nutrition, and stop by Nutrition World, open 7 days a week. We're at the northeast corner of PGA Boulevard and Prosperity Farms Road and the Carmine's Market Plaza. You can visit nutritionworld.com or call or text us at 561-626-4377. That's 626-4377.
Just because you're getting older doesn't mean you have to feel it. At the Bio Station, West LA, Dr. Mitch Matez, an expert in hormone replacement therapy, is here to help you reclaim your youth. Hormone replacement therapy is all natural and can restore your hormones to where they were in your 20s. You'll feel younger, have more energy, even get your sex right. And for women, hormone replacement pellet therapy can completely stop and reverse the signs and symptoms of menopause. No more mood swings, better sleep, and no more night sweats. Call Dr. Matez for a free consultation today at 561-320-8893. That's 561-320-8893.
Join us for Moments of Scripture, hosted by Jan Coleman every Sunday morning from 6 to 6:30 a.m. We will read the Bible, pray, and offer blessings to all who listen in the name of our Lord and Savior. Moments of Scripture every Sunday at 6 a.m.
This is Steve Kane. I want to tell you about my favorite restaurant in all of South Florida, Wings Plus in Coral Springs. Wings just the the way you like them. Plump, tender, and delicious, crispy on the outside, succulent on the inside, everything homemade, nothing comes out of a can. Dozens of specialty sauces that will make your mouth water. Wings Plus, located in Coral Springs, a mile west of University on the south side of Sample Road.
We're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Lynn from Boynton, I just received my 7th and 8th set of Mike Lindell sheets. This time we got flannel ones, which we had never had. I got one for my husband for Christmas. He loves it. Oh my God. And especially with the cold days and nights we've been having the last few months in Florida, I got 2 more. I send them to my friends for Christmas now, and they just love them. Absolutely love them.
Yeah, I have the flannels too. You're like Goldilocks. They keep you the same temperature all night long.
Yes. So, perfect. The guy just has a great product.
The thing with Mike Lindell sheets, all of them, the fitted sheet at the bottom fits perfectly on the mattress. Every other sheet, you can't get the 4 corners on. And it's almost impossible. Even after having them for years and washing them, I don't know how many times, they still fit perfectly.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
You're probably going to be on the next My Pillow commercial, just so you know, okay? Because
okay.
Okay, just to let you know.
You heard Lynn from Boynton. She loves her My Pillow sheets. Order yours right now at a huge discount. Use our promo code KANE, K-A-N-E, at checkout at mypillow.com.
We take on the social justice warriors for breakfast. Now the Steve Kane Show.
Alrighty, and don't forget, there's still time to do your Father's Day shopping at mypillow.com, and you can use our promo code for everything at mypillow.com with our promo code KANE, K-A-N-E. Take advantage of whatever special you see there. Just endless gifts that any dad would love on the most important day of the year, Father's Day. So do all your Father's Day shopping at mypillow.com with our promo code KANE, K-A-N-E, at checkout. Okay, so before I get back to, because I got a lot of different issues, I want to mention one because I'm hearing from people leaving me messages, people commenting and sending me DMs. Okay, the yesterday, the no tax on tips, every member of the Senate voted in favor of that, and that passed 100-0. That means every Democrat voted in favor of Trump's no tax on tips. That's amazing. When's the last time a Republican got 100 senators to vote their way on a tax bill? And the committee, it went through the committee. And a lot of people have been getting upset about this. I've been hearing from people. One person left a comment on one of my YouTube videos. Now, there's only a deduction. Was it $4,000? Only a $4,000 Social Security deduction. Promises made, promise not kept. Really? Has Trump signed a bill yet? You know, someone called yesterday about this on the air, and I've been hearing from a lot of people today off the air in our chat room and on YouTube and comments and some DMs. I don't follow these bills at this point until it gets down to the end for the final vote. And the process is so boring and everything else, and things change minute to minute. The way it works, okay? It's more complex than this, but I'll just give you the Reader's Digest capsulized version of how it works and why you should not get upset by anything that happens. You just want it to keep advancing. Here's what it is. The House committee, they vote, and if they approve it, they advance the bill to the House. That is not the final bill. So they advance it to the whole House. The House sit around and argue about it and make their speeches that nobody watches unless you're nuts, okay? Then they vote and they pass the bill. That's still not the final bill, right? So that bill may not have everything you want in it, but it passes the House. Then they send it to the Senate, and then the Senate votes on it, right? But it doesn't go to the president yet. And that's not the final bill. They have this thing called reconciliation, which you don't see on television. Both houses get together, and then they do more discussions and debating and everything, and make more changes to it. Then you get the final vote, and then it goes to the president. So it doesn't matter that they don't have the no taxes on Social Security yet. And stop calling Trump a liar. Has he signed it? Of course not. His campaign promise, he's going to get it through. Don't worry about it. That's why you shouldn't be following these things at this level. You know, it's a lot of times I hate that expression. Oh, it's like watching sausage being made. I don't know about that, but it's just Nothing is written in stone. Things will change 500 times or more, really probably more, before it gets to Trump's desk. So, it's enough of this following everything so ridiculously close. Okay. A couple things here. I know I keep going back to this, but I have to. Tucker Carlson and even Alex Jones are calling out Bongino and Kash Patel. I got a couple things I want to play. This is a bit of a montage. It's a montage of just 2 clips. It's Bongino on his podcast talking about Epstein in 2023. And then the second clip, back to back, is Bongino on the Bartiromo interview talking about Epstein. Okay, so remember, the first part is Bongino in 2023.
Listen, that Jeffrey Epstein story is a big deal. Please do not let that story go. Keep your eye on this. Catherine Rumler, we need to keep the heat on this case, folks. There are a lot of people who are knee-deep in the Washington swamp who are not telling you the truth about serious allegations out there that Epstein may have had video and audio of people out there doing things they shouldn't have been doing. And you should be asking yourself the question, how is it that all these people, the CIA director, the Obama fixer, Bill Clinton, all intersected paths with Jeffrey Epstein? Jeffrey Epstein isn't with us anymore, and nobody seems to want to talk about it. Outside of a few entrepreneurial media outlets saying, hey, this is a big deal.
Okay, so that's Bongino on his show talking about Epstein and all the cover-up and everything, saying all the right things. And then it goes to Bongino on the Bartiromo interview over the weekend.
He killed himself. You want me to I've seen the whole file. He killed himself.
Okay. So yesterday, Tucker was talking about this with Sean Ryan. So this is Tucker and Sean Ryan. They're talking about Epstein, Bongino, and everything.
No matter who gets elected, the Epstein videos remain secret.
Wait, what are you talking about? I thought we could all sleep well at night now knowing that Epstein legitimately killed himself, right?
What was that?
Did that just come out?
You said Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide.
You know a suicide when you see one, and that's what that was.
He killed himself.
You weren't convinced by that?
No.
Why?
I've dug into that, and it's just so spooky. I mean, how do you charge a guy with sex trafficking when there's no end users that have been charged? Who did he traffic to?
What do you think that was?
What do I think it was?
Yeah.
I think it was a blackmail operation. What do you think it was?
I think it was a blackmail operation run by the CIA and the Israeli intel services, and probably others. French intelligence always has a hand in everything, I've noticed. Probably them too. The usual darkest forces in the world colluding to make rich and powerful people obey their agenda. Okay, and also Alex Jones has been going after Bongino on this. So here's my question. Because, this has really been bothering me this week, this whole thing with Kash Patel and Bongino. And one thing I think we all agree on about in that clip I played yesterday of Bongino saying there's the lone gunman theory for the killer, the attempted assassin in Butler. Are you kidding me? And I've noticed that every day that goes by, more and more people are questioning Bongino and Kash Patel on this. One thing everybody agrees on, that Kash Patel and Bongino, especially Bongino, look terrified. Right? I think we all agree about that. They looked terrified, especially Bongino. So here's the question about that. I mean, I know this is day 3. I've been talking about this, but there's new developments every day. I'm not going to play the Alex Jones thing, but just Tucker. But yeah, I know it's upsetting. So I agree they look terrified, especially Dan Bongino. No doubt about it. But what are they afraid of? Have they gotten to them and threatened them with something? The deep state, the powers that be? Or is Bongino a poser? I don't know. And by a poser, this is what I mean. I know he was a cop for a couple of years in New York. I know he was in the Secret Service. And I did some looking yesterday
He was involved in the Secret Service so far as law enforcement. He was involved in an investigation that led to 2 convictions of people committing a rental car fraud operation. I read that. That's like in his Wikipedia. And then he was on the Secret Service protection detail, right? We all know that. And then he ended up doing his podcast and radio show, and now he's Deputy Director of FBI. And when I say, is he a poser, is Bongino just been a big vocal mouth that's not really like a cop? Is he like a political guy, an office guy? You know, like Tom Homan, you see him acting like a cop. He's out there on the scene. He's commanding people, not just ICE agents, but local police that aren't even normally under his thing. And he's like, go get him. Lock him up. He's talking to the people. He's putting, you know. And that's how, you know, I thought Bongino would be. So is Bongino scared because he's been threatened by the powers that be? Or is the person we've been hearing from these last few years on the radio and on his podcast not the real Dan Bongino? Is he a political guy who's an office guy behind the scenes and really doesn't know about being a cop and arresting people? I'm not sure. What do you guys think? You know, a lot of people run around wanting to be the boss or wanting to do something, and they make all these claims and things like this, and then they get the job and they fail, right? We've all probably seen people like that in our personal lives, at work. You know, Steve and I used to do a thing that was great. We haven't done this in many years, and the liberals are too vile, really, to do this. But Steve and I did this many times. It's one of my favorite things to do. Some of these big mouth callers who think they can host a radio show, we would invite them in to host the show. And Steve and I wouldn't talk. We would just sit back and let them host the show and take calls. Every single one of them failed. Within 5 minutes, they were out of things to talk about, and they were looking for Steve and I to bail them out, and we would just let them stay there. They couldn't do it. And they were panicking. You know, one guy, he got a call, and they ripped him, and he says, "Where's the mute button?" This fictitious mute button that they think we have on the board, and there is no mute button. And I'm wondering, is that what's kind of happened to Bongino? Is he overwhelmed? Does he not know how to do the job like Tom Homan does? Or has he been threatened by the powers behind the scenes and is scared of them? Well, I'd like to know your thoughts on that. 888-465-2631. 1 hour down, 2 to go. We'll be right back.
WSFS 104.3 HD3 Miramar, WIRK 103.1 HD3 Indiantown, and heard in Broward on 96.9 FM, Boca Raton on 95.3 FM, West Palm Beach on 95.9 FM, and in Martin County on 106.9 FM. Programming paid for by Vic Canales Media Group. Your home for the Steve Kane Show. Now, here's the True Oldies weather forecast.
This Wednesday morning and throughout the day, a high of 88 degrees and sunny. Tonight it'll be a low of 79 degrees and mostly clear. Thursday morning and throughout the day, a high of 86 degrees with a slight chance of thunderstorms, then showers likely. And then Thursday night, a low of 79 degrees, showers likely with a chance of thunderstorms.
And now, a True Oldies traffic check. Brought to you by the Palm Beach Kennel Club.
On the Turnpike northbound, as you're approaching Boynton Beach Boulevard, you'll encounter a broken down vehicle. On Beeline Highway, northbound right lane blocked by construction at Blue Heron Boulevard. Spot something on the roads, call the traffic tip line. Pound 250, keyword West Palm Traffic. I'm Ron Hersey.
Traffic, a service of the Palm Beach Kennel Club. PBKC is your entertainment destination with poker, OTB, table games, and exciting events. This Saturday, come out and watch, wager, and win on the second leg of the Triple Crown, the Preakness Stakes. The paddock is the perfect place to catch all the OTB and sports action with over 140 HD TVs, delicious food, full bar, and friendly service. For more info, go to pbkennelclub.com.
Have you put off buying new tires because you thought they were too expensive? Find friendly prices at Friendly Tire and Market. New and used tires. New tires as low
I
as
tripped over my backpack. I don't usually have it behind me.
and on the road because Friendly Tire doesn't charge you to balance the tire or mount the tire. They have thousands of used tires in stock too, starting at just $30. Call for a quote right over the phone. 954-977-9445. 954-977-9445.
On the air since 1977, it's the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
All right, hour number 2 has begun. I'm Brian Craig. You're listening to Florida's longest-running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977. I'd like to hear your thoughts on anything we talked about in the first hour. I'll get back to the Autopen stuff later, but but the thing on Bongino, I wouldn't mind hearing your thoughts on that as well. Our number is toll-free, 1-888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. You would think it's sweeps week with the new media online because a lot of people that have online shows are doing crazy interviews. Candace Owens interviewed Harvey Weinstein from jail, and he's a pretty convincing guy that he did nothing wrong. I got to tell you, I did watch that interview. But the one that everyone's talking about, which I'm not going to play any clips of, I'm just going to tell you about it, was Megyn Kelly interviewed Jake Tapper about the Biden book. And I honestly can't make sense of what Jake Tapper's doing with the book. Because really what he's doing is incriminating himself. In fact, when people first started openly talking about the mental decline of Biden, which went on even during the campaign, remember he had Lara Trump on and he ripped her and, oh, he's a stutterer. And I've been seeing Biden my whole life. I've never seen him stutter and never even heard that before. But Jake Tapper started this talking point that there's no cognitive decline. He's a stutterer. And I remember Biden when he was younger, right, during the Clarence Thomas hearings and all that stuff. I never heard the man stutter, and he was on TV every 5 minutes. You know how Schumer's on TV every 6 minutes? Biden was on TV more than Schumer, AOC, Jasmine Crockett combined. He was like the voice of the Republican Party, and he was always screaming and yelling, and he was on all the Sunday shows, always. And I never heard the man stutter, nor heard of him being accused of stuttering. And Jake Tapper, he really reamed out, reprimanded Lara Trump on the air. Oh, you're a stutterer. You got a problem with stutterers and all this stuff. So he was one of the biggest people in the media who was involved in a cover-up of Biden's cognitive decline. So why is he out there promoting it now? In fact, on the Megyn Kelly interview with Jake Tapper, she asked a lot of great questions, but she didn't ask him, why are you doing this now? It seems kind of strange. You're incriminating yourself. She even got him to apologize and talk about apologizing to Lara Trump on the interview. It was a very good interview, I must say. It was a good interview. She asked all the right questions and all the perfect questions, except she didn't ask him why he's doing it now. And I find it hard to believe that never occurred to her. So I don't know why she didn't ask the question. Maybe I don't know. But I don't understand what Jake Tapper's doing, because the entire discussion on every interview he does immediately turns into, well, you were involved in the cover-up, Jake Tapper. What's going on here? And it doesn't make a lot of sense to me, Jake Tapper doing this. But he did another interview. I want to play this. This is really scary. This was on a podcast somewhere. This is not the Megyn Kelly interview. Let me pull this up. This is Tapper. This was yesterday.
One of the things that we have learned in our reporting is that the Biden White House, led by the president, First Lady, and Hunter, and also top aides, they were lying not just...
Okay, now slow down there. Led by Hunter and Jill Biden. Jill Biden, we know what she's about. And Hunter, my goodness, he's a human trafficker of prostitutes. He's addicted to every drug known to Western civilization. And he was thrown out of the Navy for the crack pipe. A lot of people, when there's a thing about the types of drugs people use. People use weed, people snort coke, but there's different drugs that show how far someone's gone. All of them are bad. Don't do drugs. I don't do drugs. But crack, someone that's smoking crack, that's like a really low class, hardcore, dangerous addict, right? I mean, my goodness. So, and Jake Tapper just casually says, well, people running the country, Hunter. You think, yeah, I know. Isn't that nuts? It's crazy. But anyway, back to Tapper.
One of the things that we have learned in our reporting is that the Biden White House, led by the president, first lady, and Hunter, and also top aides, they were lying not just to the media, they were lying not just to the public, they were lying to other Democrats. They were lying to donors, they were lying to cabinet secretaries, they were lying to Democratic lawmakers. We talked to one Democrat, and this is in the book, who said he would call and he would be told, he's fine, he's fine, he's fine. And then after Biden dropped out, this Democrat sat down with the president and the first lady, it's a very high-ranking person, but didn't want to be named, and said, he's not fucking fine.
I didn't listen that far into the thing. I had to dump my own soundbite. But Jake Tapper dropped an F-bomb. Sounds like one of our callers. I listened to most of it, but not the whole thing. Jake Tapper using the F word. Oh, my goodness. Shame on you, Jake Tapper. But this revelation, if you listen online, you get to hear everything. You watch on YouTube, you get everything. You know that, right, guys? It's not censored on the YouTube. And I was drinking coffee too. I had a mouthful of coffee, but the dump button's always right there. But you know, this thing that he so casually said, that Hunter Biden and Jill Biden were running the country. Just because someone has a pardon doesn't mean they can't be brought in for questioning. All these people that were pardoned, General Milley, Fauci, whoever it is, they can still be brought in for questioning. And because they're pardoned, they can't be prosecuted, right? They have to, they can't incriminate themselves, right? We have the Fifth Amendment, which is a constitutional right against self-incrimination, but that does not apply to you if you cannot be prosecuted, okay? So someone like Hunter Biden can take the Fifth. And the fact that this country was being run by a drug addict, and sadly, you know, I work in radio. I've known a lot of addicts, sadly, okay? And yeah, in other lines of, in other professions other than broadcasting, I've known people that are addicts. There's casual drug users, which is bad enough, and then there's addicts. I remember one time I was doing production. This was quite a while ago. I'm not going to tell you who was in the room or anything, okay? I was in the production room helping the production guy record a commercial with someone and helping them write a script for a commercial. It was not a commercial I was doing. It was not somebody that I was endorsing or anything. And it was at another radio station. Okay, it was a few radio stations ago. And the person kept leaving every 5 minutes. And we couldn't get it done. And I'm like, what is going on here? And I said to what's this guy's leaving every 5 minutes? He said he's going out to the car to do coke. He's a cokehead. This was a long time ago. I couldn't believe that was like my first time I came in with dealt with somebody in broadcasting that was like a dysfunctional addict. And you know, and Hunter Biden fits that description. Remember, they found the cocaine at the White House. So out of everything that everyone's talking about with Jake Tapper, this idea that we had this hardcore crackhead, heroin-using, cocaine-using, crack-smoking, human trafficker, Hunter Biden, and by the way, that's according to his own laptop, right? He was running the country with his stepmother, Jill, and he just casually says that. Like it's nothing. Need to bring that guy in and question him. And like I said, since he's been pardoned, he cannot take the Fifth. And since he can't take the Fifth, he's got to tell them everything. And if he doesn't, he's committed new crimes that aren't covered by the pardon. I mean, you know, I don't know how this country survived the last 4 years. I really do not. And, you know, like a call in the last, if you're on hold, hang in there. A call in the last hour said, well, who was running the country? Was it Jill? Was it Obama? There was not a single person behind the scenes running the country. The country was being run by a bunch of different little cliques. Okay? We didn't have anyone. We should be so lucky that if it was just Obama behind the scenes running everything like a puppet. Everything was being run by these little committees. And I don't know how this country survived it. How did we not have an economic depression? They talk about, the market, or they talk about the Moody credit downgrade because Trump said something or did something. What about these last 4 years? I don't know how we survived it. I don't know if anyone knows how we survived it, but we did. But it's pretty scary, isn't it? That our country was being run by Hunter Biden and Joe Biden and a bunch of these little committees in charge of their own little area, or whatever that is. Well, listen, we got through it. But it's important to bring these people to justice. That's why we're talking about this so much this week. And there's too much coming out for there not to be arrest. Too much is coming out. A lot of the crimes that happen inside the government, nothing happens because, one, you don't know about a lot of them, and a lot of them you don't have evidence. But the things that are coming out now, there's a lot of evidence. People have said things, right? Like Tapper with his book. We were talking about the Autopen. It takes 5 signatures to access it, right? So there's a lot of evidence that's coming out that's well documented, sourced, and we have witnesses. And a lot of them have put their signature on it. So there's a lot of things to point to call them out and prove that they were involved in something. But it has to be taken care of, and it will. Maybe not fully to our liking, but every day that goes by, it gets more and more frightening as to what happened. Now, the one thing that I wish Megyn Kelly would have asked Jake Tapper, not that he would have given an honest answer, but the one thing I can't figure out is what angle is Jake Tapper doing? This book, it's not like he got fired or left CNN like Jim Acosta, and now it's like, well, I'm going to have this tell-all book. This book is being promoted heavily by CNN by all their anchors and talent, and they're having talking head panels discuss what comes out of it constantly. So CNN. So what's going on with CNN and Jake Tapper? Why are they doing this now? I don't have an answer for that, and I haven't heard anyone even try to press Jake Tapper about it. But if you have any theories on that, they're certainly welcome. If you're on hold, you hang in there. We're going to take our first break of the second hour. Our number is toll-free, 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. You're listening to Florida's longest-running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 48 years on the radio. My name is Brian Craig. We'll be right back after this.
Don't sit on the sidelines. Get in on the action. Call the Steve Kane Show live on air now. 888-GO-KANE-1. This is the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
Attention, true oldies listeners. By popular demand, Sloman's is bringing back their unbeatable offer. How would you like to spring into the season with a free doorbell camera? Yes, you heard that right. You get a doorbell camera, and you get a doorbell camera. Everybody gets a doorbell camera. That's right. The first 40 callers who dial 1-833-283-5050 can unlock this limited time offer, featuring a free doorbell camera that connects directly to your smartphone. Professional installation of your Sloman Shield. But wait, there's more. When you activate our low-cost central station monitoring, you'll also receive a free customized
Hey, it's Brian. Hey, we got a couple minutes, so we're gonna be right at the time you were talking about. So, but I'm gonna go ahead and put you on hold. Can you pick up the phone at all, or because you sound a little low? You just sound a little low. Maybe you talk louder or something. Okay. All right. Hold on.
to dental work, there's no one better than Dr. Gupta at Brighton Dental. But don't just take my word for it. This is Richie the bus driver. He called in on the air to share his experience with Dr. Gupta. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, this is Richie, Dr. Gupta. I go 139 miles to this guy. I had a broken tooth. He fixed it. It was supposed to be temporary. It lasted 2 years. He put dentures in my mouth that are a lot cheaper than anybody else. And he's excellent and no pain. I recommend this guy. To me, he's
Beaches on 95.9 FM, the Treasure Coast on 106.9 FM, hear us in Boca on 95.3 FM, Fort Lauderdale on 96.9 FM, and any...
All right, we are back 19 minutes after the hour. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. And on the line, I have Ian from Cruise and Travel Depot. And Ian, you and I were talking the other day, and I did not realize this until you told me. Our next cruise is our 10th anniversary MAGA cruise.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm in shock.
Yeah, we started planning our first one on Independence in 2015.
Oh my goodness! I mean, that's absolutely amazing. So people have been asking me about the next cruise. So tell them a little bit about it. Now, our next MAGA cruise. You don't want to miss this cruise, guys. We're gonna have a great time. When is it?
It's March 22nd of next year.
Okay.
Celebrity Beyond.
Oh yeah, the Celebrity Beyond's amazing, and we took one trip on the Celebrity Beyond a couple cruises ago. It's a beautiful ship. And our destinations are like out of this world.
Yeah, I mean, Antigua, British Virgin Islands, Tortola, and Nassau.
Yeah, and Antigua, I've never been there. I've always wanted to go there, and it's supposed to be one of the most beautiful, luxurious islands in the Caribbean.
It really is. I mean, the place is loaded with five-star resorts. There's no econo lodge or comfort inns there. It's a beautiful place. I've sent a lot of clients there, and everyone just raves about it.
Yeah, and on our those of you that have been on our past cruises, Ian and I, we've got all new onboard activities, some we've never done ever before. And we're working on some great shore excursions that we don't have locked in yet because we're still planning all that. And when we lock those in, we'll announce them. But one thing this is our 10th anniversary MAGA cruise, and we've been with Celebrity for 9 of those 10, right? Because the first one we went on Royal Caribbean, which is, by the way, the same company as Celebrity. But you were able to negotiate some incredible deals for the pricing on this cruise.
Oh yeah, the pricing is absolutely out of this world. It's affordable, veranda rooms, any type of cabin you want, drinks, Wi-Fi. It's really going to be a good time, and there's plenty of time to get locked in.
Yeah, and, when you call Ian, he'll give you the price right out the gate. The price varies on so many factors, like what kind of cabin you get, how many people there are. There's, what other things you get with your trip, and are you flying in? There's a lot of factors that go into the price. So when you call Ian, he'll give you the price. But I got to tell you, based on the pricing I've seen, this is like pricing from a few years ago. You're not getting 2025 and 2026 pricing. You're getting some pricing that's really good from a couple years back.
Yeah, the pricing's more in line with what we were looking at before COVID. Now, everyone who came on our cruise this year, almost everybody rebooked. So there are some group rates left, but I grabbed those group rates 18 months ago, and when they're gone, they're gone.
Yeah, and remember, when you go on our trip, our shore excursions, we do them all together. We have a great time. We've got a great group of people. We have a lot of onboard activities. Our shore excursions are always spectacular. We have dinner together every night and a whole bunch more. So listen, guys, call Ian at Cruise and Travel Depot. He'll give you a price quote right over the phone. Make your reservation and join us on our 10th annual MAGA cruise. And by the way, Ian can help you with all of your travel needs, not just our cruises, but any other travel you're doing, he can help you with. 561-244-5779. 561-244-5779. 5779. All right, Ian, we'll talk soon. Have a great day. All right, take care. Yeah, guys, call him, and you'll have a great time. I love it. All right, so if you're just joining us, we've been covering quite a bit. I'll go to the phones, and you're welcome to call about anything we brought up so far. But I got some other issues we're going to get into, and I will be also recapping the Autopen pardon sale that we're learning about. Our number 1-888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Conservative.
Oh, hey, Doug.
It seems that a lot of people now, because there's no arrest and you don't get anything coming out too much, you just hear a lot of talk, are starting to get kind of numb to what's going on. And some people even tell me, oh, that's just the way the government is, they rob, they cheat, they steal. What are you going to do? This is really sad. I think Bongino was given an offer he couldn't refuse. And
okay, so you think he's the real deal, but he's been threatened.
I think, and when they threaten you, they probably threaten him and his family. And what are you going to do? I remember a case for the drug dealer, the heavy drug dealer from Colombia, going into court, and the lawyer gives a picture of the judge's family, letting them know. Yeah. You dismiss the case. What are you going to do, man? These people.
Well, and I get that. Like, if I were on El Chapo's jury, I would go not guilty, right? If I was on El Chapo's jury, El Chapo, they would have the best. They would at least have a hung jury if I was on it. So this is a crazy thing to say. I hope you're right about Bongino, right? Because I would rather think that than that he's a right? Yeah. But if he doesn't put some handcuffs on some people, he's going to have a hard time returning to his show, and people are going to be pissed. His phones are going to be filled with pissed off people every day. He won't be able to take calls.
I got a feeling it's just a matter of certain. They told him, "Here's what you do: you leave this alone. We don't want to know who these celebrities are and only inside people. But you go do your arrest on everything else, and we'll leave you alone."
Mm-hmm.
That'll be the deal with it.
All right.
From what I'm thinking, hey.
All right, Doug. Take care. Good to talk to you. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
John at Fort Lauderdale. Good morning.
Hey, Fort Lauderdale. What's up?
Well, I just kind of missed what Conservative Doug said because the phone was ringing, but this Autopen thing, wow, that's a shocker. Actually, it's not a shocker based on what we're learning. And I want to follow up with what Doug said. Yesterday you were talking about Comey and whatnot, and also Bongino and Cash Patel. I couldn't help but think yesterday that the CIA has gotten to these people. I mean, who else could threaten these guys to zip it?
Nah, they were definitely scared. I mean, there's no getting around it. They were terrified. I mean,
Scary.
It is. I mean, if they can get to them, I mean, Exactly. But how? But I appreciate the call. But here's the thing: how patient and how long are people going to wait around for somebody to get arrested? Right now, James O'Keefe. Did you guys see this? They sent a guy in. Comey's doing book signings now, right? And Jesse Waters sent a guy in to the book signing of Comey, and he started asking Comey questions. I'm going to play it for you. This is great. And if this continues, I'm imagining Comey is going to cancel the book tour because he's just not going to be able to take too much of this, especially since this went out on Jesse Waters last night. Jesse Waters is going to start a trend. Conservatives are going to go to these book signings and try to do similar things. So listen to this. This is Jesse Waters' guy. He's waited in line at the Comey book signing, and he starts interviewing Comey while Comey's signing autographs.
Yeah. Yeah. Why are you on an 86 Trump?
All right.
Director?
I'm not taking questions like that now.
But why would you
Just signing the book.
Why would you post that? Director Comey. How was your interview with the Secret Service?
Oh.
You want the book signed, really?
Absolutely.
Okay, you got it, bud.
Can you sign my seashell too? Which beach is this that you're going to? You find a Kamala seashell, 8647. This is a politically charged beach there.
I will. They will.
The seashell? You don't want to sign it?
Have a nice day. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night. Have a good night. Thank you. Good night.
Yeah, and a man comes in from the bookstore to save Comey, who is, I don't know what his preferred pronouns are, but he's got earrings in both ears. Oh my goodness, I love that. That book tour is gonna get canceled. There's no way that everyone's gonna try to do this. If he came here, is there a bookstore in South Florida anymore? I'd go and do that, but I'd have to bring somebody with me to film it while I'm asking the question. But everyone's gonna do that. That book tour is over. Okay, it's not gonna go on much longer. I love it. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy. Okay, let's take our break for the bottom of the hour. You're listening to The Steve Kane Show. I'm Brian. If you're on hold, hang in there. We'll be right back.
Making morning radio great again. I think you're going to really love it. It's The Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
Oh, yes.
Now, here's the True Oldies weather forecast. And now, a True Oldies traffic check, brought to you by the Palm Beach Kennel Club.
Traffic, a service of the Palm Beach Kennel Club. PBKC is your entertainment destination with poker, OTB, table games, exceptional eats, and exciting events. The poker room is open daily for cash games, tournaments, amazing promotions, and easy-to-play table games. Get super OTB action every day except Tuesday from top racetracks around the country. PBKC, where winners play. Go to our website, bbkennelclub.com.
If you're a homeowner or with a homeowners association and your roof is old or compromised, you need to call Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing. Laporta Roofing has been in the roofing and construction business since 1984 with thousands of roof installations and thousands of satisfied customers. Did you know that in the state of Florida, you can open a roofing company and borrow someone else's license? Tom Laporta is the holder of his roofing and general contractor's licenses. Not like the other companies that borrow other people's licenses. So be sure who you're dealing with. Tom Laporta and his team are honest, knowledgeable, and reliable, and he'll never sell you a roof you don't need. Laporta Roofing carries all insurance, including workers' compensation on all of its employees. Not just a waiver like other contractors. Laporta Roofing can handle any type of roofing job too. Residential roofing, HOAs, condominiums, and churches. If it's roofing, Laporta Roofing can do it. So call Tom Laporta on his cell phone, 954-604-4602.
That's not true, Bashy.
LaportaRoofing.com. That number again is 954.
Yeah, if you're on hold, hang in there. If you want to call in, the number is pinned in the live chat.
The go-to roofing company you can trust.
We're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Mr. Green, I just received my 7th and 8th set of Lake Lindell sheets. This time we got flannel ones, which we had never had. I got one for my husband for Christmas. He loves them. Oh my God. And especially with the cold days that we've been in the last few months in Florida, I got 2 more. I send them to my friends for Christmas now, and they just love them. Absolutely love them.
Yeah, I have the flannels too. You're like Goldilocks. They keep you the same temperature all night long.
Yes. So perfect. The guy just has a great product.
The thing with micro sheets, all of them, the fitted sheet at the bottom fits perfectly on the mattress. Every other sheet, you can't get the 4 corners on, and it's almost impossible. Even after having them for years and washing them, I don't know how many times, they still fit perfectly.
That's what I've been talking about, Fred, the Autopen.
Be on the next My Pillow commercial, just so you know, okay? Because just to let you know. You heard Lynn from Boynton. She loves her My Pillow sheets. Order yours right now at a huge discount. Use our promo code KANE, K-A-N-E, at checkout at mypillow.com.
Now, back to the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig, celebrating 48 years on the air.
All right, we're back. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. You know, yesterday, remember they couldn't get that tax bill, the big, beautiful bill, out of the committee. And I told you guys last week, I said these fake Republicans are all butch while Trump's in the Middle East. But when he gets back, so Daddy comes home and it goes through the committee, it gets done. And it was really fascinating to watch Trump at the Capitol yesterday. I don't know how many of you got to watch it live. I was watching it live on Right Side Broadcasting. And he kept doing these impromptu press conferences in the hallway, and they were just spectacular. And they had asked him, one reporter asked him about the Democrat congressman that's being charged, right? Because she attacked the federal officers. And he says, woke's over. This stuff, it's over. You know, we've got to have law and order. You know, we're in a new country now. We really are, and where there's law and order. And there's a lot of things going on that, the Democrats just don't understand that the country has changed. You know, the Democrats, prior really to the last couple of years, the Democrats have always been able to somehow be in the pulse of the mainstream with people that don't follow politics. But you know, that call I got at the top of the hour, I don't know if it was last hour or the top of this hour, but a black guy from New York who's voting Republican. Just before Trump, getting a call from a black guy from New York who's an ex-Democrat, a recovered Democrat, who's voting Republican, would be like, oh my goodness, let me talk to him for 30 minutes. What happened? Tell your story, And that's common now. It's not even a big deal. That's why they were trying to replace all of us with illegals. And there's no question about it. Trump said one thing yesterday that was surprising to me, that I had not heard him say before, at least not in so much detail, that Biden had no idea what was going on at the border because he's so out of it cognitively. And, so who was bringing all these people in? But because they lost people like that guy in New York that called, they were bringing in a new population to replace us. And they still don't, the Democrats, the left, they still don't understand that the people are opposed to what's going on here. This is a local story out of California, ABC News out of California. ICE raided the day laborers waiting outside of a Home Depot. Okay? And, and they interviewed these guys, and I'll play some of it for you. No one has sympathy for this anymore, okay? I don't know if they ever did, but it was just something we figured there was nothing we could do about. But they interview these guys in front of the Home Depot on the local news in California. Listen to this.
One of them, Carlos, narrowly avoided being caught. Speaking through an interpreter, he described the emotional toll.
When I started seeing the scene, I started crying. The tears started leaving. We're here. We're human beings. We're only here to support ourselves and to maintain our families.
According to Carlos and other witnesses, the raid unfolded just around 8 a.m. as ICE agents arrived in both marked and unmarked vehicles, rounding up workers from the parking lot.
It took 15 to 20 day laborers who were only here asking for work. It is unjust. It is immoral, and it should be a crime.
Okay, it should be a crime to arrest the illegals. And, the thing about these jobs, day laborers at the Home Depot, construction jobs, that is skilled labor. My stepfather, who's passed away, worked in the construction business his whole life. That is skilled labor. Okay? Tom Laporta, a roofer. That's construction. That's skilled labor. And they want to act like, on the left, that these kind of jobs are, just menial jobs, like they're digging ditches or picking up trash on the job sites. These guys are carpenters and electricians and plumbers and all kinds of, and these are highly skilled jobs that a lot of Americans would like to do, but they can't. If you go to your local Home Depot or Lowe's, who are the guys that work there? It's not like a regular retail place. I'm amazed at how much the guys know. You know who works at Home Depot and Lowe's? Carpenters, electricians, plumbers, general contractors, right? People that used to like work out and do things for people. But they can't anymore because all the illegals that the Democrats have been bringing here are taking all those jobs, so they end up working at Lowe's and Home Depot. It's true. When those stores were new, you know, when Home Depot was new, it was a long time ago, but I remember when Home Depot was new, you know, you went and bought stuff like at Sears or something, or Ace. And when they were new, those places were filled with just like the same kind of people that work retail that you see at Best Buy or Target or Walmart. But there's been a change over the years, and the change is because so many illegals come over here and steal the jobs. And I don't know if others here in South Florida have noticed this, but I'm seeing a lot less lawn crews. You know, in Florida, you know, those of you that don't live in Florida, you got to mow your lawn every year round in Florida. And you know, the guy that's been my lawn guy for years and years and years, he's an American, and he only hires Americans. And he does everything on the up and up, man. This guy, he doesn't do anything under the table. He doesn't have... And these my neighborhood would be filled with lawn crews. None of them speak English. Sometimes they would knock on my door and they want to trim the trees and do all this stuff. And I'm not seeing all these other lawn crews around like I used to. Have any of you noticed that? And the ones I do see, because any time I'm home and there's a lawn crew, I always see, oh, is it my guy, you know, or is it somebody? And I noticed that my neighbors, the guys that are I live in a neighborhood where very few people mow their own lawns. But hey, it was like 93 degrees yesterday. I'm 54 years old. When we go out there and mow my lawn, I'll be dead. Some of you might like that. And I've noticed that the lawn crews that are working on my neighbors' yards, they're American too. That I don't know, but it seems to me that a lot of the illegals that work on these lawn crews have gone somewhere. I don't know where, but that's a good thing, right? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. It's Bob from Pompano.
Hey, Bob. What's up?
Two questions. One is what you're talking about. When are you going to start cracking down on these restaurants, fast food, where all these illegals are working and taking jobs from other people?
They are. And they can't. There's not enough of them to bust every place, but people are getting scared and not doing it.
Well, I don't hear them say that they're going into restaurants, and I mean, I know one personally, but up north, but there are illegals working there, and it's a chain restaurant, you know, and they're still working.
Well, you know, I mean, they haven't rid the country of all of these people, but I am noticing fewer illegals around than there used to be. I am.
Okay. The second thing is, you mentioned about the big beautiful bill. They changed their Social Security with no tax, and now there's $4,000 credit.
First off, that's not true. That's just not true. I explained it earlier. I'll explain it again after the call. All right? So just tune in on the radio. I'll explain it. I mean, see what I mean? See what I mean? This is why you don't follow this stuff. I just got a minute before the break, but I'll explain that again for the second time today because it's so important. The bill in its current form is not the final bill, guys. Okay? It will have the no taxes on Social Security before President Trump signs it. It goes through the committee. That's not the final bill. Then it goes into the House. They debate and make changes. Then it goes to the Senate. They debate and make changes after the House passed it. And then both houses get together and make even more changes. And then there's a final passage. And then it goes to Trump. By the time you're too early into the stage of how the bill goes. Okay, what they passed through the committee is not the bill that President Trump will sign. It's not even close to it. And the no taxes on Social Security is a campaign promise. So there's no way he's not going to get in. That was one of his big campaign promises, right? No tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security. So I don't see him signing it without that in it. Do you? All right, let's take our last break of the second hour. It's the Steve Kane Show. I'm Brian Craig. We'll be right back.
The cold, hard truth. Delivered morning 6 to 9 right here on The Steve Kane Show.
Hi, it's Brian Craig. Let me ask you this. Are you planning on retiring in the next 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, at any point in your life? Or are you already retired? Listen, economically, it's a mess with the stock market ups and downs and inflation out of control. In fact, it's the highest inflation rate in 40 years. You need a plan of action for your retirement plans. You need the advice of a retirement expert who can help you protect your money, guarantee your income, and stop losing money. Joe Thomas is president of Retirement Network Advisors, South Florida's premier retirement experts, and has been for over 20 years. He's seen it all and is a true professional that you can trust. They're family owned and operated. His daughter Jenny works with him. You know Joe and Jenny from right here on True Holdings. He's the host of the Jupiter Joe Money Show, and he's been doing that for over a decade. You need Jupiter Joe's book, The Retirement Know-It-All. Mention my name, Brian Craig, and receive a free copy of his ebook. Go to jupiterjoe.com or call 561-743-0999. That's 561-743-0999. Take advantage of his free phone consultation too. Go to jupiterjoe.com or call 561-743-0999.
Men, just because you're getting older doesn't mean you have to feel older. At the Bio Station, West Del Rey, Dr. Mitch Matez, an expert in hormone replacement therapy, is here to help you reclaim your youth. Hormone replacement therapy is all natural and can restore your hormones to where they were in your 20s. You'll feel younger, have more energy, and even get your sex drive back. And for women, hormone replacement pellet therapy can completely stop and reverse the signs and symptoms of menopause. No more mood swings, better sleep, and no more night sweats. Call Dr. Matez for a free consultation today at 561-320-8893. That's 561-320-8893.
This is Steve Kane. I want to tell you about my favorite restaurant in all of South Florida, Wings Plus in Coral Springs. Wings just the way you like them. Plump, tender, and delicious, crispy on the outside, succulent on the inside, everything homemade, nothing comes out of a can. Dozens of specialty sauces that will make your mouth water. Wings Plus, located in Coral Springs, a mile west of University on the south side of Sample Road.
Brian Craig here. When it comes time to get my blood work done, I don't have time to spend hours in the doctor's office or waiting hours in one of those big labs. That's why I go to Any Lab Test Now of Boca and Any Lab Test Now of Coral Springs for all of my lab work. Their techs are highly skilled and professional, and their prices are guaranteed to be the lowest on lab work you'll find anywhere. Appointments aren't necessary. Doctor's orders and prescriptions, they're not needed either. I'm in and out in 15 minutes or less. I get the results the next day in my email box, and they also send it to my doctor. There's lots of Any Lab Test Nows around, but these are the only two advertising on our radio station. So don't use the rest. Only go to Any Lab Test Now of Boca and Any Lab Test Now of Coral Springs. Any Lab Test Now of Boca is in the Sandalfoot Plaza. That's where the Western Beef is, between Palmetto Park Road and Hillsborough Boulevard on the east side of State Road 7, 441. Any Lab Test Now of Coral Springs is on the southeast corner of University and Ramblewood by the Coral Square Mall. Call Any Lab Test Now of Boca at 561-237-5009. Any Lab Test Now of Coral Springs number is 954-906-5983. And don't forget to mention that you heard about them on the radio.
We take on the social justice warriors for breakfast. Now the Steve Kane Show is on the air.
All righty, we are back. I'm Brian, Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. I want to talk about coastal weight loss secret. You know, I've lost so much weight, and it's absolutely amazing. You know, today, I'm wearing, as I do most days, I'm wearing one of my Trump T-shirts. I'm wearing a MAGA T-shirt. But I'm doing something that I have not done with T-shirts for years. And it's just something, as you grow older, getting a little weight, something you can. What I'm doing today that I've not done in a long time, I'm wearing, and I'm doing this all the time now, most of the time, if I remember my belt. But I have my T-shirt tucked in. And, I'm wearing a belt, and I have added several holes to this belt. Before long, this belt is going to go around my whole body if I keep losing weight. But, and when you gain weight, you wear your shirts untucked a lot to kind of try to hide what's going on, right? What's growing down there, that belly, And now that my stomach is flat, I have the body I had when I got married 29 years ago in December. I tuck my shirts in now because I don't have to, I'm not hiding anything anymore. And I have the belt. I had to add a hole in it, and I've added several holes since I started with Coastal Weight Loss Secret, and it's just amazing. And I do have so much more energy. No workout, not done any exercise whatsoever. I don't even go for walks around the neighborhood. I do zero exercise. I'm eating the foods I would normally eat, and I'm not taking any prescription medications like Ozempic or anything. And I highlight that because anytime people lose weight, they Ozempic. No, and I see all those things. I'm not a doctor, so I'm not giving you medical advice. However, I see all these stories about the Ozempic face. Who wants that? And I saw some new thing the other day. I was reading over the weekend. Celebrities that have the Ozempic tongue. Oh, my goodness. So, no, I'm not taking any prescription medications like Ozempic, done no exercise, and eating foods I would normally eat, and I've lost all this weight. And those of you who watch me on YouTube, you can see the difference. Listen, give Coastal Weight Loss Secret a call no matter where you're located, no matter how much you want to lose, whether it's 20 pounds or 220 pounds. Coastal Weight Loss Secret can help. Here's the number, and when you call, make sure you tell them you heard about them on the True Oldies channel. 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300. And online, coastalweightlasssecret.com. All right. So, I've thought the first arrest we're going to get from the lawfare people's Letitia James because we have all the documents. She received her subpoena for the grand jury investigation into her mortgage fraud. And then she's speaking to a group and she confessed some of her crime. Listen to this. This is crazy. This is how freaked out she is. This is Letitia James.
As you know, we filed a lawsuit against Donald Trump and his...
No, he's not the former president anymore, Letitia. He's the president. She's so flustered at facing 30 years in prison that she doesn't even know who the president is.
As you know, we filed a lawsuit against Donald Trump and his family. We secured $454 million judgment against him, which is on appeal. The case is on appeal. I have no idea when that case will be decided. This investigation into me is nothing more than retribution. It's baseless. It has to do with the fact that on a power of attorney, I mistakenly indicated that I was a state of Virginia, but prior to that I had indicated to the mortgage broker that in fact in bold cap letters that I am not a resident of Virginia and never will be. And in the mortgage application I indicated that I would not live in Virginia and I was not a resident. They just took the power of attorney and they're using that as a basis for enforcement for their investigation, when in reality the power of attorney was never used to determine my eligibility for a mortgage for my niece for a home in the state of Virginia. My niece who has children, and because I am a good aunt, I wanted her to have a home.
Oh, okay. Now she's throwing her niece under the bus. The thing with so she's confessed, and now but that's not the only crime that they got on her. Okay, she's done a lot of mortgage fraud, and notice she didn't mention. Think about this. Oh no, I've done nothing wrong. I just mistakenly checked off a box saying I was a resident of Virginia. Let me tell you, when you're a resident of a state, there's so many benefits, right? You get an insurance break. You get if you're going to live in the residence, you get a mortgage break, and also you get that homestead exemption on the property taxes, right? And that homestead exemption here in Florida is a lot. And if you have a home without a home, like a lot of times people will buy a second property for a rental property. There's no homestead. You can only have homestead on one property. And the taxes are so much higher that really most of the time it's not viable to have a rental property in so many cases because you don't have the homestead. And her, right, she's a lawyer. She's been a lawyer her whole life. Most of what they do is making sure that documents are correct and that everything is signed properly. Someone who's an attorney general of a major state like that and has been an attorney their whole life doesn't make a mistake like that on a document. She knew exactly what she was doing, but she didn't mention how she mistakenly said that her father was her husband. She left that out. But I'll tell you this. We've seen a lot of Letitia James in the last 4 years going after Trump. I've never seen her that flustered. I mean, she's so flustered. She keeps calling President Trump the former president when he's the sitting president. And she didn't sound all tough and bold and talking out loud. And you look at her face, she was scared. She was like Dan Bongino scared from the Bartiromo interview. It was, I mean, she is really nervous. You know, she's in her late 60s. So she's facing 30 years. Basically, what she's facing is a life sentence. And did you see the Justice Department's opened an investigation into Governor Cuomo, who's the front runner in the New York City mayoral race? The Democrats are in, they have no good stories, the Democrats. None. There's not a single Democrat out there who's not wrapped up in something. And one of the reasons, and what they've gone after Cuomo on, are the nursing home deaths, in particular those nursing home deaths in New York City from when he was governor, right? I mean, he oversaw and is responsible for what is one of the greatest massacres in the history of the United States, Cuomo, and they're looking into it. See, all these, even though we haven't gotten a big arrest yet, and we've been talking all week about how disappointed we all are about it, there are things in play. Not everything's in play, but that we would like. But there's a lot of things in play. Letitia. After the top of the hour, I'm going to recap the selling of pardon story with the Autopen, because that's a big story today. And I think it's the biggest story of the day, but, you know, we'll see. But there's a lot of things in play that are going on right now where there is going to be accountability and prosecutions. We just, you know, sadly, we have to be patient. It's hard. I know it's hard. And believe me, it's very difficult to be patient, because I thought we would have some major arrests by now. But some of these people, like Letitia, because of the high-profile nature of it, plus she's a black woman and a Democrat, you have to be extra careful before you actually go in and arrest the person and bring the charges, because, you know, these are very high-profile people. And it's not that necessarily a lot of people will want to defend Letitia James, okay? But a lot of high-profile people are afraid they're next. So when you do these, you've got to do everything perfect so they hold together. Because there'll be people that are afraid they're going to be next that'll try to tear it down and disrupt it, because if that prosecution fails or can be discredited, it'll keep them free a little longer. Now, after the top of the hour, Steve will be joining us, and I'm going to go through the pardons for sale and the Autopen story, plus whatever Steve has on his mind that he wants to bring up. And we will go back to the calls at 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. Now, I don't know how many of you are doing your hurricane prep now. I am doing everything. In fact, this weekend, I'm probably going to take I have a generator in the garage. I'm probably going to take my generator out of the garage and fire it up and make sure it's running okay, because you want to have... But part of hurricane prep is making sure that you have a safe and secure roof, because no matter how much hurricane prep you do, if you've got a wet spot on your ceiling and you've got a leak, that means you got a leak in your roof. You're not prepared for the hurricane. And no matter what you do, if that roof isn't proper and that roof isn't safe and that roof's not secure and you don't get the roof repaired or replaced when it needs to be, that no matter what you do, you lose that roof. You wasted your time doing any prep. So if you've got a leak on your a wet spot on your ceiling and a leak in your roof, you want to get it taken care of. I'm here to tell you, and you want to call Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing. You know, he works on every type of structure, commercial, schools, municipal, and of course residential homes. He works on every type of structure, and he can handle the job of any size. Whether it's one single home or an HOA with hundreds of units, he can handle it. He covers both the east and west coast of Florida and everywhere in between. And remember, Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing is also a general contractor, and under Florida law as a general contractor, that means he's able to deal directly with your insurance company for the cost of your repair or roof replacement. That speeds things up a lot. You know, a lot of people, you know, they hire a public adjuster. Some people even hire attorneys, and it can drag out. And when you do that, you got to pay the attorney fees. And if you hire a private adjuster, I had to go this route once. Oh my goodness, they got me the money, but you had to pay them. I think it was I think it was 20%. Yeah, I think it was 20% I had to pay the public adjuster. I mean, you know, so since Tom Laporta can deal directly with your insurance company for the cost of the repair or the replacement, you may not need a lawyer. You may not need a public adjuster. Speeds up the process and saves you some money, because when I had to pay that public adjuster 20%, you know, this is before I knew Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing. This was years ago. The roof was the roof, and I had to come up with that 20% for the new roof still. I know. So you don't want to do that. Give Tom Laporta a call. Now, this number rings directly to Tom Laporta's cell phone. You can call him directly or text 954-604-4602. 954-604-4602. And online, LaportaRoofing.com. All right, 2 hours down, 1 to go. Steve will be joining us after the top of the hour. I can't believe it's Wednesday already. And as I said, I'm going to recap the pardons for sale story, which is a really big story, because we got some new information on the Autopen that I want to recap as well, that I opened with at 6 a.m. So if you weren't with us at 6 a.m., you won't want to miss the recapping of those stories, because they are big, after the top of the hour. We'll also go to the phones. Our number is toll-free, 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call no matter where you are listening. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest-running radio show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 48 years on the radio. I can't even believe I'm saying that. Soon it'll be 49. It won't be long, and it's going to be 49 in August. We're going to hit the 49. I'm Brian, Steve Kane Show, back after this.
104.3 HD3 Miramar, WIRK 103.1 HD3 Indiantown, and heard in Broward on 96.9 FM, Boca Raton on 95.3 FM, West Palm Beach on 95.9 FM, and in Martin County on 106.9 FM. Programming paid for by Vic Canales Media Group. Your home for the Steve Kane Show.
Hey, what's going on?
Here's the true
All right. I had a couple things I wanted to recap with you. Did you have something you wanted to do? Okay.
Tonight it'll be a low of 79 degrees and mostly clear.
Oh, okay. All right, hold on.
Throughout the day, a high of 86 degrees with a slight chance of thunderstorms, then showers likely. And then Thursday night, a low of 79 degrees, showers likely with a chance of thunderstorms.
And now, a true oldies traffic check, brought to you by the Palm Beach Kennel Club.
On Congress Avenue, there's a crash south of 10th Avenue North.
Okay.
On 441, there's an accident north of Atlantic Avenue. Spot something on the road.
Okay.
Call the traffic tip line, pound 250, keyword
Okay.
West Palm traffic.
No problem.
I'm Ron Hersey.
Traffic, a service of the Palm Beach Kennel Club. PBKC is your entertainment destination with poker, OTB, table games, and exciting events. This Saturday, come out, watch, wager, and win on the second leg of the Triple Crown, the Preakness Stakes. The paddock is the perfect place to catch all the OTB and sports action with over 140 HD TVs, delicious food, full bar, and friendly service. For more info, go to pbkennelclub.com.
Attention, true oldies listeners. By popular demand, Sloman's is bringing back their unbeatable offer. How would you like to spring into the season with a free doorbell camera? Yes, you heard that right. You get a doorbell camera, and you get a doorbell camera. Everybody gets a doorbell camera. That's right. The first 40 callers who dial 1-833-283-5050 can unlock this limited time offer, featuring a free doorbell camera that connects directly to your smartphone, complete with professional installation of your Sloman Shield
hours and hours waiting at the doctor's office or one of those big labs. Go to any lab test now of Boca and any lab test now of Coral Springs. Their prices are guaranteed to be the lowest you'll find anywhere. No appointment, doctor's order, or prescription is needed, and you're in and out in 15 minutes or less. They offer every lab and blood work your doctor could order. They even have drug testing and STD testing. Take control of your health care and visit any lab test now of Boca and any lab test now of Coral Springs. There's lots of any lab test nows around, but these are the only two advertising on our radio station. So don't use the rest. Only go to any lab test now of Boca and any lab test now of Coral Springs. And make sure you tell them you heard about them on the radio.
Hello, this is Mike at Friendly Tire. I've been in business 30 years at the same location and offering great deals on new and used tires. I have many suppliers. Whatever car or truck you have, I can get you incredible deals on any tire. I also do tire repairs at very low prices. Give me a call. My number is 954-977-9445. I will give you a price over the phone on new and used tires. Again, my number is 954-977-9445. Thank you.
On the air since 1977. It's the Steve Kane Show.
All right, the third hour has begun. I'm Brian Craig. You're listening to the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. Steve joining us. Hey, Steve.
How are you doing?
I'm doing. You know, before we get into the issues, I had a weird thing happen. You hear all this stuff about AI all the time, AI? And I hear these stories. This is a really strange thing, okay? And I had something happen yesterday as I'm bringing this up. But my wife's got a friend who's our age, so her kids are all grown up. And her son has just gotten married. But all of his friends that aren't married, they said they have AI girlfriends. I don't even know what that means. Do you have an AI girlfriend, Mike? No, Mike does not have an AI. Mike, the board up, does not have an AI. That they have AI girlfriends. I'm not exactly sure what that means. But yesterday, I called the car dealer to set up an appointment to bring my car in to get serviced. I set it up with this very nice lady on the phone. We talked for 10 minutes, you know, and it was not a real woman. It was an AI. I couldn't believe it. I was in shock. I found out at the end. There were some answers at the end with some strange inflections. So I said, "Are you a real person?" And they said no. They're an automated voice response. I was taught 10, and Steve, you would have tried to get this woman's number if you were talking to her. I mean, she sounded really good looking, and she was very polite and nice. I talked to her for 10 minutes. I had no idea until the very end that it was not a person, it was a woman. I don't know what's going on in our society, Steve, but it's getting stranger all the time.
Just begun to get strange.
Oh my goodness! I mean, you know, that was.
I listened all day to the various talk shows, and nobody touched on that Ash Patel Bongino interview that you discussed.
I know. I've been talking about it all week. I know, and it's everybody else has moved away from it.
You refer to it. I mean, it was fascinating to speculate about, even though it was hard to draw conclusions.
Well,
it was weird.
I don't know why. Maybe they're their friend. I don't. Let me play. Did you see any of the interview? Okay, and I keep trying to get away from this story. No one's covering it but me, right? And and I don't want to think anything bad of Kash Patel or Dan Bongino. But yesterday I brought it up again because there was another clip from the interview that I missed. And the reason I missed it is when I was watching Bartiromo interview them, I was so disgusted. I was yelling about it to my wife, and I missed something. And I played this yesterday, but since you didn't see the interview, I wanted to play it for you. Okay? And it's not the Epstein clip where, which I got a thing on that, which I might play for you too, because it's very strange. This is Bongino and Kash Patel. It's the Bartiromo interview. I played this yesterday, but you weren't with us yesterday, so I want to play it. They're talking about the assassination attempts on President Trump. Okay? And just so you know, there are things that we know that connect both of these guys. Crooks is the Butler shooter, right? The one that's dead. He had multiple cell phones on him. On those cell phones, there were two very strange numbers. One of them was a number that was pinged to the FBI headquarters in Washington, D.C., and there was at least one phone number on one of his cell phones that was a Ukrainian phone number. Then there was also somebody who claimed to be a federal agent from ATF that came there, and then they washed down the crime scene with a hose and washed the evidence away. Remember all that? But then he was in a BlackRock video. He was in a PSA or commercial done by BlackRock. This is Crooks. This is the Butler shooter. He was in a BlackRock commercial for the teachers union. Okay, so that's Crooks. The golf course assassin, who they got, I cannot remember his name off the top of my head, but I remember all these things about him. He was also in a BlackRock video. That was filmed in Ukraine. So both assassins are in BlackRock videos. That's a connection right there. Plus, he was a recruiter for Ukraine. The golf course shooter. He was working for Ukraine, recruiting ex-U.S. military to work as mercenaries to fight in Ukraine. He had been to Ukraine, and he was in a BlackRock video promoting Ukraine. So we've got connections to Ukraine to both of them, and a connection to both of them through that they were both in separate BlackRock videos. So there's all kinds of connections and conspiracies and weird stuff. So Bartiromo asks Kash Patel and Bongino about the assassination and the conspiracy around the Trump assassination attempts. Let me pull this up. You should be able to hear this, Steve. This is Bartiromo's interview, Kash Patel and Bongino.
You know what, Maria?
Can you hear that, Steve?
Yes.
Okay.
You know what, Maria? Kash is not kidding. We've been personally briefed extensively on every single detail, nugget, tendril of this case. One is actively in court right now, so out of respect for the case, it's probably more appropriate that I stay quiet on that. However, I'm not going to tell people what they want to hear. I'm going to tell you the truth, and whether you like it or not is up to you. If there was a big explosive there, right? Given my history as a Secret Service agent and my personal friendship as a director does with the president, give me one logical, sensible reason we would not have. If you can think of one, there isn't. There in some of these cases, the there you're looking for is not there. And I know people, I get it. I understand. It's not there. If it was there, we would have told you.
Okay,
You know what,
so
Maria?
he's going with the... Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Bongino, he doesn't sound very scared to me in that particular recording. I mean, he seems kind of cool.
Yeah. 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 When you see it, he looks scared through some of the interview. That portion he doesn't. And he said he's been briefed. What with by Chris Wray's FBI investigation? I mean, give me a break. I made a documentary on that a couple days after the shooting. All right, you guys should all watch it on YouTube. By the way, you'll see my incredible weight loss in that video because that was before Coastal Weight Loss Secret. And oh boy, I wish I had been the Coastal Weight Loss Secret before I made a documentary of that. But anyway, he hasn't been to the scene. He hasn't interviewed anyone. He's just taking Chris Wray's FBI's initial report, and with and Steve, the things that I just told you about these assassins, he's not doing his own investigation. He's not going down there.
Wait a minute. Let's just break it down. I mean, the only thing I picked up from this morning's audio that you played for us is that they're not ready to talk about every aspect of the investigation.
No. He said the Florida shooters, because he lived, that's in case, and so he doesn't want to talk about that one out of respect for the case.
That was an excuse. But
yeah. Yeah, but the other one, the guy's dead. So and he's cleared that guy too, even though you got all these connections I told you about. Okay? I mean, this is what I've been trying to figure out about Bongino. Okay? And then, well, let me play this other one. This is a montage, okay, of Bongino. I'm sure you've heard that he said Epstein killed himself, right? You've heard that, and people are like really ticked off that he just said that. This is a montage, and the beginning is Bongino on his radio show talking about, in 2023, talking about the Epstein case. And then it goes to a clip from the Bartiromo interview, and he's singing a different tune. So the beginning is Bongino on his radio show in 2023 talking about the Epstein incident, and then it fades to him from the Bartiromo interview.
Listen, that Jeffrey Epstein story is a big deal. Please do not let that story go. Keep your eye on this. Catherine Rumler, we need to keep the heat on this case, folks. There are a lot of people who are knee-deep in the Washington swamp who are not telling you the truth about serious allegations out there that Epstein may have had video and audio of people out there doing things they shouldn't have been doing. And you should be asking yourself the question, how is it that all these people, the CIA director, the Obama fixer, Bill Clinton, all intersected paths with Jeffrey Epstein? Jeffrey Epstein isn't with us anymore, and nobody seems to want to talk about it, outside of a few entrepreneurial media outlets saying, hey, this is a big deal.
Okay, so that's Bongino 2 years ago on his radio show, all butch about it, right? Oh, the swamp, they won't let you know. Then it goes to, this is Bongino from the Bartiromo interview.
He killed himself. You want me to, I've seen the whole file. He killed himself.
Okay, that's it. There's nothing to see here, right? No conspiracy with the Trump assassins, no conspiracy with Epstein. And Alan Dershowitz was on TV last night talking about this, okay? I know a lot of people aren't talking about it, but Dershowitz was, and I think it was Newsmax. I saw it online. And Dershowitz said, it's not about, he said in a situation like he was in, it's possible he took his own life, but he couldn't have taken his own life without help. And remember the guards left? They turned off the camera, and the guards left him alone, and they turned the camera off. And Bongino ignored all of that. So it pains me to, because we all like Bongino, but I was asking this question, Steve, and I'll ask you. Have they gotten to Bongino, and is he scared? Or is he fake? Is this image of a tough guy, federal agent, who goes out there and puts cuffs on people and is a bad dude, is that all fake image?
I can only guess what the answer is, but let me tell you that I think what is obvious to me is that Bongino committed to do an interview that he had second thoughts about before doing, and that's why he seemed up front to be very enthusiastic about getting all the facts out, but when push came to shove, he thought better of it. I mean, that's the only thing here.
Well, I got to tell you, Tucker Carlson went after him yesterday and was laughing about it. I mean, actually, this comment. Well, I played it earlier. I can play that for you, too. But, I mean, he just doesn't buy any of this story. Alex Jones went after him. A lot of other conservatives, too. So, Dan Bongino, he goes out and makes some big arrest and comes out with things. All this will be forgotten, okay? But if he continues like this, he's going to have a hard time being a success in his former career as hosting a radio show or podcast. He's going to blow all of his credibility. People are really ticked off at him. The Epstein thing really freaked people out. Okay? He did nothing to see here. Lone gunman, took his own life. Nothing to see here. And the reason that I keep talking about, I know I've been talking about it all week. It's Wednesday. This is the third day, okay? And I know everybody else has moved on. But I think it's important to know, I mean, there's three possibilities, okay? One is they got to them and they've intimidated them. Another one is that Bongino's a fake, right? And he's not this tough guy federal agent cop, that he's just a big talker that's got a lot of imaging going around him. And the third possibility is yours, that he's doing everything right, and he was forced into doing an interview and he didn't want to talk about anything and he's covering up for investigations. Yours is the best case scenario. This is not.
My thing is not, I don't know, best case scenario. but it's not a stretch, my case. I mean, it seems plausible.
Yeah.
Otherwise, implausible situation.
You know, it's really tough because you're right. The rest of the media have moved on and have forgotten about this. And and you know, I'll tell you, Steve, on Monday, I didn't see Fox News rerunning clips of that interview too much. Mm-mm. And that was their own interview, though, right? Usually on Mondays on Fox, because Bartiromo's show is like the weekend shows, right? And on Mondays, everyone's talking about the Sunday shows, especially if it's their own interview, right? And the
weekend.
Yeah, it was. And Fox dropped their own interview. I thought for sure they were going to have a lot of discussions about it. So why did they drop their own interview?
Probably voices from above said that we've got issues here that we don't want to deal with in public yet.
You know, I don't know, maybe. You know, now the reason I keep going back to it is not just because I'm very upset about the whole thing. There's been developments every day, right? Yesterday there was a development, him saying there's the lone gunman theory. Give me a break. Lone gunman theory. You know, come on. You know, I don't want to go through the whole thing, but if you go and watch my documentary I made on the golf course assassin, the whole cover story is BS on that. Okay, that guy was not hidden. There was no bushes to hide in. It was and that bright pink. I went through the whole thing. It's crazy, you know. And for him to go by these lone gunman theories, that was new yesterday. Today I brought it up again because Tucker was talking about it with Sean White yesterday. Okay, and they were laughing at Bongino. Basically, they were literally laughing. You know, that goofy laugh that Tucker has. You know, so there's been. It's not that I'm just picking on him every day. There's been developments every day, but eventually there won't be a new development. I guess I'll just have to wait and see. But and hopefully they'll redeem themselves. Well, I looked at the clock. We got to take a break. We'll be right back.
Don't sit on the sidelines. Get in on the action. Call the Steve Kane Show live on air now. 888-GO-KANE-1. This is the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
Hey, it's Scott on the radio reminding you that your favorite oldies are back on the air right after 10 a.m. this morning, right here on the True Oldies channel.
What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Mr. Boynton, I just received my 7th and 8th set of Mike Lindell sheets. This time we got flannel ones, which we had never had. I got one for my husband for Christmas. He loves it. Oh my God. And especially with the cold days and nights we've been having the last few months in Florida, I got 2 more. I send them to my friends for Christmas now, and they just love them. Absolutely love them.
And I have the flannels too. You're like Goldilocks. They keep you the same temperature all night long.
Yes. So perfect. The guy just has a great product.
The thing with Mike Lindell sheets, all of them, the fitted sheet at the bottom fits perfectly on the mattress. Every other sheet, you can't get the 4 corners on, and it's almost impossible. Even after having them for years and washing them, I don't know how many times, they still fit perfectly.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
You're probably going to be on the next My Pillow commercial, just so you know, okay? Because okay, just to let you know.
You heard Lynn from Boynton. She loves her My Pillow sheets. Order yours right now at a huge discount. Use our promo code KANE, K-A-N-E, at checkout at mypillow.com.
This is Mark Laporta, son of Tom Laporta and proud second-generation owner of Laporta Roofing. As a military veteran who served in the Army after 9/11, I've brought the same dedication and discipline to our family business. At Laporta Roofing, we've been serving our community for nearly 4 decades, and we're committed to continuing that legacy of excellence. Our team specializes in all types of roofing systems, from shingles to tile, slate, metal, and flat roofs. We're the go-to experts for single-family homes, HOA communities, and condo associations. What sets us apart is our unwavering commitment to customer satisfaction. I've personally implemented systems to ensure you receive the best in customer service and workmanship. Don't miss out on our limited time offer for a free roof inspection. Call us now at 954-604-4602 or visit us at laportaroofing.com. Trust the experts who have been protecting homes like yours for generations. Again, that number is 954-604-4602.
Show with Brian Craig. Listen in the Palm Beaches on 95.9 FM, the Treasure Coast on 106.9 FM, Harrison Boca on 95.3 FM, Fort Lauderdale on 96.9 FM, anywhere.
All right, we're back. I'm Brian. Steve Kane is here. So that's that. But again, when there's new developments, I'll bring them up. All right, you want to take some calls? What do you want to do? Oh, I got to put you on. You want to take some calls, Steve? All right, our number is 1-888-465-2631. And then there's another story I'll tell you about in just a bit. All right? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Hey, John. You're on the air. What's on your mind?
Soros is what y'all need to talk about.
We need to. Okay, what do we need to say today?
Soros funds a whole bunch of what's going on. And I think George Soros should be...
Well, this is what we found, okay? And believe me, I'm not defending the man, okay? But there was some information we found, courtesy of Elon Musk and Doge, that he was one of the biggest recipients individually from USAID. And oh my goodness, there we go. Oh my goodness. Is that the first time we used the dump today? First time? Okay. We made a record, Steve. We only had to use the dump once today. There you go. Well, only 36 minutes left. Yesterday, I think we might have almost gone for the all-time Steve Kane Show record for the dump button. Yeah. No, actually, it was twice today. Remember the thing with Jake Tapper? Yeah, so no, it was twice today we had to use the dump button. Yesterday, I lost track. You missed a very strange day yesterday, Steve. I'll tell you about it off the air. Oh, my gosh. Oh, you heard it? Oh, my goodness. I don't know if that's a good thing or should I be embarrassed. I don't know, but there was some strange calls. No, but the other big story today, and this is new. If you notice, President Trump's been talking a lot about the Autopen. Okay, a lot about the Autopen. In fact, he mentions it even when he's not asked. I saw him mention it yesterday. I saw him mention it. Every time I've seen him speak, I don't think there's been a day that I've not heard him mention the Autopen. I heard him mention it once yesterday when he was at Capitol Hill. I heard him mention it the other day. He's been mentioning it a lot.
There's a lot of bizarre possibilities connected to it.
Well, we got some new information.
To that Autopen, and knowing Trump as well as we do, I would assume that this is just a setup for the real shoe, which is going to fall sometime in the immediate future.
Well, we got some new information about the Autopen. That's why I brought it up. And okay, yesterday, Benny Johnson interviewed a Republican congressman, Burchett, who's from Tennessee, and he's very conservative. He's MAGA, and he's on TV a lot. And he dropped something yesterday about the selling of pardons by staffers. And Christina Bobb, on a separate interview on Newsmax, she dropped something pretty big. Now, Christina Bobb is one of Trump's lawyers. She's been with Trump for a long time. And I don't know if we're talking about the same lady. She's Christina Bobb? All right. Different strokes for different folks. I like her, though. Christina Bobb talked about the Autopen yesterday on an interview. She said a minimum of 5 people have to sign off on accessing the Autopen. 5 people. Minimum have to sign off to access the Autopen. And plus, you got the person that's actually using the Autopen. So every time the Autopen is used, there's a conspiracy of a minimum of 5 to 6 people, but no fewer than 5. And they have to sign the documents, and these are all logged. So putting all this together, the reason President Trump, one of his biggest talents is marketing and messaging, right? And he's talking about the Autopens every day. Even he was asked a question about Biden's cancer, and he turned it into a discussion on the Autopen yesterday. Okay, they've got the Autopen records, and I think that's what they're investigating. And all this stuff with the Autopen and the selling of pardons, we don't have to worry about Bongino and Cash Patel, what's going on with them. It's under the jurisdiction of Judge Janine, who is now the United States Attorney for the District of Columbia. So the Autopen is all about Judge Janine. And we haven't seen Judge Janine. She got sworn in about either Wednesday or Thursday of last week.
Well, onto Trump's regular staff, they sort of disappear from the view in most cases as far as their...
Yeah. But I think she's on. I think she's working. I think they have. This is what I think's going on. Okay, because Trump's mentioning the Autopen. He's what he's doing. Like if you're making a movie, there's a lot of foreshadowing in movies that are. Yeah, exactly. He's dropping things about the Autopen. I believe that they've gotten the logs of everyone who signed out the Autopen. Okay, remember it's at least 5. It's at minimum a conspiracy of 5 people every time it's accessed, and they're looking into people's financial records and of their families to see who got big deposits or who bought the new house or paid off a mortgage, and they'll check the extended family too, because what a lot of people do is they'll have the money given to mom, dad, a cousin, or somebody, right? They think of it, but they're wrong. Please, that's. People go to prison all the time doing that. Drug dealers get busted all the time. They put everything in mom's name or a cousin's name. They get busted all the time. That's what they're doing. But they have the law, the Autopen signatures to sign it out. Minimum 5 every time. They've gone through those records and they've found something that they can use, and that's why Trump keeps talking about. That's what I think. And to me, I heard people talking about this yesterday, and they refer to the Autopen as the greatest scandal in the history of the United States government. And I think that's true. And there's
no question.
Yeah. And Trump said yesterday, and this was part of it. He said, he was talking. If you got to really not listen to Trump in the sound bites. If you want to try to catch it live and unedited, because he drops all this stuff. So he did about 4 impromptu press conferences yesterday. There was one in the Oval Office when he was talking about the Iron Dome with Hegseth, and then he did 2 or 3 walking through the halls of Congress yesterday. And I watched all of them because there's so much news going on. I knew he was going to be asked about stuff. So he randomly mentioned the Autopen yesterday when it had nothing to do with the discussion. And then he also randomly said yesterday that Biden didn't know anything about the illegals pouring into the country. And he mentioned the Autopen again. He said others were doing this. His mind is mush and all this stuff. So he is setting the stage for the Autopen scandal. I don't know what gate we'll call it. Yes. Yeah. And if you watch him every time he speaks, he keeps dropping things that all go back to the Autopen. Because, it's the Autopen is, and I was so glad because I've been saying, I wish they would show us and tell us how it works. And the reason they got Letitia James is because she's got her signature on all these mortgage fraud documents, right? So that that's that. So they got her. The Autopen is documented. Most people, when they do crime, like these lawfare conspirators, like with Fannie Willis and all these people, they don't make notes and file things in filing cabinets in the government for the crimes that they're doing. When they're conspiring with their lawfare, they don't document it. But these are things, the Autopen, the mortgage fraud, they have to be documented. There's no way to do it without there being records. So they have the records now. And a lot of these things, the reason, because some people may say, well, why would they be so stupid to leave all these records behind and make all these records? Because they didn't think Trump was going to be back in the White House. They thought he was going to be in jail. Right? So they didn't think anybody would ever look into this. Well, anyway, that's my running theory following Trump this week. If you're on hold, I hope, because that would be the best, Steve. That would be the best. All right, if you're on hold, hang in there. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. My name's Brian Craig. We'll be right back.
Morning radio great again.
I think you're gonna really love it.
It's the Steve Kane Show.
Hey, it's Scott on the radio, reminding you that your favorite opener is back on the air right after 10 a.m. this morning on the True Oldies channel.
Now, here's the True Oldies weather forecast.
This Wednesday morning and throughout the day, a high of 88 degrees and sunny. Tonight it'll be a low of 79 degrees and mostly clear. Thursday morning and throughout the day, a high of 86 degrees with a slight chance of thunderstorms, then showers likely. And then Thursday night, a low of 79 degrees, showers likely with a chance of thunderstorms.
And now, a True Oldies traffic check. Brought to you by the Palm Beach Kennel Club.
On I-95 southbound, it's stop and go from 6th Avenue south to Lantana Road. There's a crash Congress Avenue south of 10th Avenue north. Spot something on the roads, call the traffic tip line, pound 250, keyword westbound traffic. I'm Ron Hurst.
Traffic, a service of the Palm Beach Kennel Club. PBKC is your entertainment destination with poker, OTB, table games, exceptional eats, and exciting events. The poker room is open daily for cash games, tournaments, amazing promotions, and easy-to-play table games. Get super OTB action every day except Tuesday from top racetracks around the country. PBKC, where winners play. Go to our website, bbkennelclub.com.
Back to the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig, celebrating 48 years.
All right, we're back. I'm Brian. Steve Kane is here. Call us on hold, stand by. You know, before we go back to the phones, I want to tell everyone about Coastal Weight Loss Secret. Oh, man, Steve. You know, I told you my daughter moved back to Florida from California, which it's good. It's still in progress, but she's here. And she got here over the weekend, which is absolutely amazing. I never thought the day would happen. You know, the prices were too much. The $5.45 a gallon, that was like a big one. You know, that was a big one. But she said the price, and she makes good money, but the price of everything is just, she says it's too high. She couldn't afford to do what she wants to do. But anyway, she's back. So went out to dinner with my mother and my daughter on Saturday. My daughter got in town Saturday, so we all went out to dinner. And we went down to Hollywood Beach, which I have not been to in years, and they've made it nice. It used to be a dump down there. It's really nice. I don't know. It's not my favorite beach, but they made it nice. And we had dinner, and my mother she's like, oh, I thought you were on a diet because of all the stuff I ordered. You know, I had wine, I had everything. I was like, Mom, don't you listen to me do the commercials? I'm eating foods I would normally eat. I'm not eating some special food. It was amazing. And my mother did notice how much weight I lost, too, because I hadn't seen her in a few weeks, you know, and she knows how much weight I lost. But, yeah, you know, with Coastal Weight Loss Secret, you can still go out to restaurants and enjoy yourself. You know, you're not ordering, would it be like a little piece of celery or, you know, or something, and drinking water. I'm ordering what I would normally order at restaurants, too. And those of you that were on the cruise, you saw what I was eating. I was eating what you guys were eating. It is. Well, listen, give Coastal Weight Loss Secret a call. I'm going to give you the number. And when you call, make sure you tell them you heard about them on the True Oldies channel. 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300. And online, coastalweightlossecret.com. All right, let's take some calls, Steve. All right, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Hey, Brian.
Hey, Brian. Hi, Steve. How are you today?
I'm fine,
you know,
but I
this
can't
is
hear you
a
very well.
fascinating topic to...
Speak up a little bit. Speak up a little bit, Brian. Steve's having a hard time hearing you.
Oh, okay. This is an incredible topic to be talking about. Is it possible, and the one I prefer to believe in, is that we're in the early stages of some type of a massive sting operation going that's going to be unveiled? There's a moment there where Patel says, he's talking with Bartolome, and says, well, give me another week or two. Give me another week or two. And I'm thinking, well, what's that going to do? Is it possible they have something big they want to unveil, but they're not quite ready to unveil it on that show? But is there something big coming? It sounds like it. You know, the thing with the pen and all this thing and Epstein, are they going to link everything together and maybe we're about to see something huge?
See, you know, here's what a lot of people don't understand, okay? You know, like the guy that called about Soros. You're not going to get him on anything, okay? You're and the lawfare people, you're not going to get them on lawfare stuff. You got to get people on what you can get them on. And I go back to that reference with Al Capone. They got Al Capone on income tax evasion, not the murders and stuff that he did. People don't have documents of, okay, we committed a murder today. Let's make sure we document it and everything else. You don't have hard evidence. But on some crimes, you have, whether it's Letitia's mortgage fraud or the Autopen. And when Christina Bobb said it's 5 signatures for the Autopen, I was like, oh, we got him. So I don't care what we get them on. If we get you on the Autopen, I'm happy with that.
Yeah. Well, the Autopen that may have a lot of linkage into a lot of other areas too that we're not really clear about. But that's a big. I think that Autopen is gigantic.
Well, the thing about the Autopen, and the Autopen is not meant for like big things. It's meant like, if you write a letter to the president, you get an autographed picture back. They use the Autopen for the autograph, right? Stuff like that. It's not meant for things. And what the working theory is that they were selling pardons. Okay. Yes, that's right.
Imagine Joe would do anything to.
No, they're saying he wasn't involved in it. Like Clinton. Remember the Mark Rich pardon? Clinton probably, I remember his wife at the time. I can't remember Mark Rich's wife's name. Anybody remember? She was famous. She had won a Grammy. She was really good looking. Bill Clinton, you think and that's when Bill Clinton was out doing what he was doing. I mean, they could have bought that with sex. But the presidents can buy pardons and sell pardons, okay? And you can't document. This is the staff without Biden knowing selling pardons. That's why they're saying there were some of these weird pardons for weird people at the end. Biden didn't know anything about them, So, yeah.
And really, there's a personal thing I have. I still trust Bongino and Patel. I mean, there are guys. It took a lot to get them in those positions, and I still want to keep the faith with them. I think maybe they're going to break something big.
I hope. I mean, I don't want people to think that I'm just bashing these guys, but there was a happening, and they look bad, and I mean, I exactly. I mean, come on, but here's the thing. Okay, here's the thing. You look like yesterday. Pete Hegseth was with the president with the Iron Dome. A lot went into that Iron Dome of America. He had the Congress. Hegseth did this. He had a general that's going to be in charge of it. He had members of Congress. He had that guy I noticed Murkowski from Alaska wasn't there, but the other one from Alaska was there. They've got the deals worked out with the contractors, and it was very sophisticated. Because the new computer system is going to be compatible with the old computers of the military, so they can communicate with one another. That's what Hegseth did.
To Canada too, with it.
So you know what Tom Homan's done, right? And even the transportation secretary they're putting in an entire new air traffic control system nationwide, right? But we haven't seen anything really of significance from Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, and Bongino. Everybody, and look at Bobby Kennedy and everything he's done. The prescription executive orders because of him.
Well, I thought Kennedy and Mark Rubio were sensational in those congressional testimonies.
Oh, yesterday Rubio was on fire.
Questions anymore because they were terrific,
Yeah.
I have faith in Bongino and Rubio. I won't write them off yet. I think there's a bigger sting operation coming. Something that's interconnected, something they don't want to blow because they got a lot of things to present, including Bondi. I still have trust her too. So
we just need to know. I mean, if I was here all week, that was great. I'd sound like an idiot. All right, take care. Appreciate. It was really bad. All right, take care. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. All right, speak up. What's your name?
Name's Luis.
Okay. You haven't missed anything, Steve. Believe me. Yeah, go ahead, caller.
I just wanted to say you sound like Fry from Futurama. It's uncanny. I know this has nothing to do with political.
I don't know who Fry is. I've heard of Futurama, but I've never watched it. I've heard of it, and I would assume what you're saying is not a compliment.
It is a compliment.
Oh, it's a Fry. Do you know Fry, Mike? Is he okay? He's okay. He says he's okay. All right. I've been called worse. I'll look it up after the show.
Like, your voices are like 1-to-1.
Okay.
Opinion.
Okay.
It's very close.
That's a cartoon, Steve. He says I look and sound like a cartoon character. I'll look it up after the break. I've never watched Futurama. All right, listen. I want to tell everybody about Jupiter Joe Thomas and annuities. You know, I didn't know much about annuities, really knew very little about annuities until I met Joe Thomas. But then I thought there was just like an annuity, right? Just an annuity, and you put your money in an annuity, you buy an annuity. I don't know. I thought it was kind of like a CD or a bond. And I didn't realize that there's all kinds of different types of annuities that do different things, and there's different benefits. And, I was talking last week about the annuity that has an income doubler if you have a major health event, which, by the way, applies to you and your spouse because, married couple are both on the annuity. There's also an annuity. Now, when you call Jupiter Joe Thomas and take advantage of the no-charge consultation, he gave me 3 flyers with 3 different options. Option 1, 2, and 3. There's many other types, but these are like the 3 of them. This is the option number 2 annuity. So when you call Joe Thomas, you can tell, oh, Brian was talking about the option 2 annuity, and he'll know exactly what you're talking about. The option 2 annuity is a bonus annuity. You can get a 10% bonus on your money on day 1, right? So you put your money in the annuity, you get a 10% bonus. These are, I don't know why everyone's not in annuities, and your money's not at risk no matter what happens in the stock market, and you're guaranteed an income stream for the rest of your life in your retirement. Listen, give Joe Thomas a call. You can take advantage of the free consultation with Joe Thomas no matter where you're located in the United States. His number is 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999. And online, jupiterjoe.com. All right, we'll be right back. All right, and it's time to check in with William Youngerman from the offices of William Youngerman Incorporated with the Morning Gold and Precious Metals Report. William Youngerman, how are the metals looking?
Metal's looking very bright. The market's up a great deal much yesterday, closing up $61.80 on gold at $3,290.20 the ounce, after trading in a range of $3,232 on the low, all the way up to $3,296. Silver breaking out over $33 at $33.05 on the close. That was up 74 cents. Platinum, big moves in the white metals. Platinum up $56, closing out at $1,055, and palladium was up $42 at $1,002. Overnight, we saw gold trade in a range of $32.89 all the way up to $3,310. Currently at $32.96, that's up $5.80. Silver is up 5 cents at $33.10 the ounce. Platinum was up $5 at $1,050, and palladium's down $2 at $1,000 even. So pretty market very good.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now listen, one thing about William Youngerman is that I just think this is an amazing thing, and that's why I bring it up to you from time to time. And you can tell people a little bit about this, William Youngerman. When people come in, they buy their gold, their silver, whatever the metals they buy, you will buy back anything that you sell.
Two-way market, and have for 60 years now on all the precious metals. Anything we sell, we guarantee we will buy back at whatever the current market is. And it's as easy to sell it back as it is to buy it. Maybe even easier to sell it back to us.
Yeah, absolutely. And, and somebody's going to, if it's not you and you leave it to your family or a spouse, somebody eventually is going to want to turn those metals into cash, and they can always take it to William Youngerman's, as can you when you need some money. Listen, give William Youngerman a call. He opens up at 10 a.m. His number is 1-800-327-5010, 1-800-327-5010. His address is 150 East Palmetto Park Road in Boca, just east of US 1 Federal Highway on the south side of Palmetto Park Road on the first floor of the Bank of America building. And you can find him online, where you'll also find his phone number and address at williamyoungerman.com. All right, William Youngerman, we'll talk tomorrow. Oh, yes.
And with cash on the spot.
You know, I would like to just sit in your shop one day and just watch the faces on people when they bring in their old broken jewelry and things like this, and you tell them how much it's worth with the metals at these prices. They must be in shock. Yeah, I know. It's a lot of fun. All right, William, we'll talk tomorrow. All right, take care. All right, Steve, we're back. Well, you know, and I did tell you, don't worry about the big, beautiful bill. We got it through. And, you know, yesterday when Yep.
Everybody's got their own particular axe they want to grind on this particular bill. Mine, of course, is Social Security. It would save me a lot of money if Social Security is exempted from taxes. And these are double taxed, by the way. Either you get taxed, it gets taken out of your payroll when you collect your payroll tax.
Yeah.
And then they take it out again if as things stood when they take your income withholding tax. What's the story with that?
It's going to be in there. What came out of the committee didn't have it. They had I think a $4,000 credit on, but the final bill isn't done yet. It'll have no tax on Social Security before Trump signs it. It's a big one, and not only is it a big one,
I'm worried about it.
His campaign promises were no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security.
Compromise going on at this point.
Not by Trump. He hasn't compromised on anything.
We don't know that. I mean, we won't know that till the final version.
The final version will have it in there. He just got it out of the... Listen, a week ago, they couldn't get it out of the committee. Trump comes home, he walks over there, out of the committee instantly. He hasn't made any deals. It hasn't even gone to debate in the House yet. And look what happened in the Senate. Every senator, every Democrat, I've never seen a 100 vote on anything, I don't think, before, that involved taxes. But every senator, a 100% vote in favor of no tax on tips.
And that was no surprise. That was...
these are the taxes that Trump is ending are taxes that even the Democrats can't oppose. No tax on tips, overtime, or social. Don't worry about it. It'll all be in there. Trump hasn't signed it yet. It hasn't. The bill hasn't even been put together yet. Don't worry. Don't worry. I was telling you this the other day, Steve. With Trump in the White House, why would you worry about anything involving politics?
A little more realistically based than you are.
Oh, I'm okay. All right. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Oh, hey, JJ.
Excuse me. A lot of interesting topics today.
Speak up, baby. I can't hear.
A lot of interesting topics, Steve. To me, Joe Biden, the last administration, they turned the White House into like a nursing home adult care unit. And I looked at all the pardons that commutations, etc., that Biden did, and it's just it was beyond belief. He did it, like over 4,000. Obama did 1,900 in 2 years. Trump did 200.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing, JJ. The selling of pardons is not new. Okay, that's everybody always goes back to Clinton because Clinton. He did a lot of it at the end, right? But he was the president. Okay? This is different. These are the staffers illegally accessing the Autopen. The pardons before were done with real signatures. The staffers selling pardons, that's new.
You're making exactly my point. Is that the White House was
basically... Well, that remains to be true
this guy,
at this point.
He had, Biden had, to me, it was pretty obvious to anybody that was really looking that he's having early onset dementia or whatever the mental illness, whatever it was, the guy wasn't all there. And you're talking about one of the most corrupt political families in the history of the United States. You got shell companies, SAR reports from the U.S. Treasury, 10% for the big guy, diamonds from Russia, cash from China. I mean, these guys they're as corrupt. I mean, who the hell pardons their entire family? They're as corrupt as hell. Now, and the thing is that he's got dementia. Does anybody really believe that this guy was on the ball? He couldn't give a speech. He couldn't find his way off stage, and yet he could figure out how to to get 4,200 plus pardons. And
Well, when they start looking into the finances of the people that signed out the Autopen, that's when they're going to get somebody.
they're going to explode with it.
They got to be panicked. And I'll tell you, not hearing from Jean-Pierre, she's on my suspect list, because with everything going on, I haven't seen one comment from Jean-Pierre.
Typically, the Democrats, they carry gas cans and blowtorches, start fires everywhere, and then they start screaming about why, why you evil climate change deniers are starting fires when they have gasoline and matches in their pocket.
That's right. That's right. All right, appreciate the call. Take care. All right. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Okay, that's the Democrat response. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. Once, twice. All right, you missed your chance. Oh, let me tell you guys about Dr. Appleton and his laser away pain treatment. You know, Steve, we're coming up on Dr. Appleton being with us for 3 years. Actually, we got 2 anniversaries coming up, right? The 49th anniversary of the Steve Kane Show is the same time as our 3rd anniversary being with Dr. Appleton. It's August. They're both in August. And I just started thinking about this the other day. Come August, it'll be 3 years since Dr. Appleton rid me of pain for the first time. And that time was in my knee. And my knee pain, I had that knee pain since I was about 20 years old. And it was the worst. I mean, I just thought that was it. And it'd get worse as I got older, especially, during the hurricane season when it rains every afternoon. And that was the first pain he rid me of. He treated me with that. And it was just a couple of treatments. The pain was gone. And the reason I highlight the 3 years is because the pain has not returned. The pain. Think about that. About 30 years of suffering. Dr. Appleton treated me with the laser away pain treatment. Gone after just a couple of treatments. 3 years later, in August, and the pain has not returned. That's absolutely amazing. And the reason that is because the laser treatment repairs the damage that's causing the pain. And let me tell you, you think I just went around with knee pain for 30 years? I went to doctors, multiple doctors, okay, and had many doctors. And Brian, that's it. That's what happens when you get old. But when I was 20, that's it. You get just like you with your neuritis. Get used to it. And then Dr. Appleton went on to rid me of pain 6 times since on top of that for a total of 7. Listen, give Dr. Appleton a call. Appointments are not necessary. Walk-ins are welcome. It's a free consultation. If you have scans or x-rays, bring them with you. Dr. Appleton will gladly look them over. And with the laser treatment, Dr. Appleton performs all the laser treatments himself. There's no injections, no drugs, no surgery, no downtime. And no appointment necessary even on Saturdays. Just walk right in. 954-973-0710. Give him a call and say bye-bye to your pain too. 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonCairo.com. Well, listen, we got a lot of good things happening. I don't see any bad. Oh, did you see yesterday, Steve? Home Depot announced that no matter what happens with tariffs, they're not going to raise their prices. That tells me maybe they're marking things up a lot. You know what I mean? That they got a lot of wiggle room. Yeah, exactly. I mean, how could they stay in business if the prices go up? They must be marked. But no, that's good. That's huge. For them to come out and say that we're not going to raise prices because, Target's they're doing it though. They are. It's an interesting thing that Home Depot did that. Because a lot of times, companies will use things as an excuse to raise prices. Any excuse, even if they don't need to. Oh, we can raise prices now and blame it on this. Right? Like how long did the COVID? People were blaming things on COVID, prices. And what that's done is that whole market, Home Depot, Lowe's, anyone that sells any of that kind of stuff, none of them are going to be able to raise their prices. Because Home Depot's gone out and said, we're not. So the marketplace, that's huge. I mean that really was a big victory by Trump. I'd like to know how that came to be, but that was a huge victory in the tariff wars that are going on with President Trump. Because Home Depot, there's one on every street corner in America, And that's, you go there on the weekends. It's at least in my neighborhood, it's packed on the weekends. Not during the week so much, but on the weekend. And for them to make that announcement the day before, Target, I saw a story where they were changing the price tags and they were talking about putting the tariff price next to the regular price and doing all this kind of stuff. So how's a company like Target going to be able to raise their prices when another big company like Home Depot is saying, no, we're not? So it puts pressure not just on Lowe's and other companies. Yeah, exactly. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, I'm Mark from South Dakota. I got a quick question for you.
Oh, yes.
Are you there?
Yeah. He's got a question.
The tariffs are raising prices at stores. I thought that wasn't a thing. I thought the prices weren't going to be raised because of tariffs.
That's not what I said. I said a lot of businesses will use anything as an excuse to raise prices, even if it doesn't factor in, and just blame that. And some companies, like Walmart was going to do this a couple weeks ago. Oh, no, it was Amazon. Amazon was going to do this a couple weeks ago. And then Bezos said no. Some companies were preparing to raise prices and blame it on tariffs. It's an excuse to raise prices. I didn't say tariffs are going to raise prices.
But you said Home Depot didn't.
Home Depot announced, they said no matter what happens with tariffs, they will not raise prices.
Right. Trump also tweeted that, or on Truth Social said that Walmart should quote unquote eat the tariff. What do you mean by that?
Adjust their prices and don't pass it on to their customers. You know what it meant.
Yeah, what I'm saying is...
Tell us why you don't like Trump.
It's just the self-congratulation. You love to talk on the show about narcissism, but you're unable to see the narcissism from him. I'm confused by...
Yeah, but what's the you don't like him because you think he's a narcissist?
No, I don't think that. I know that because I want...
Okay, and that's the only... Okay, well, listen, we're out of time for the day. Well, there's only 3 seconds left. See you tomorrow, 6 a.m.
WSFS 104.3 HD3 Miramar, WFLM 104.7 HD3 Palm Beach Shores, and...
I mean, the show's over at 9. What am I supposed to do? Listen, guys, thanks for watching. If you're new, make sure you subscribe, all right? Take care.